Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR368. It's NXT update, but I am not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by Monty. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing great, James. It's great to be back here on the WNR. Man, my home, away from, I don't know, but it's, I love it. I'm back, and I'm just ready to do this, man. Talk about some NXT again.
Well, without a doubt, we didn't think it was going to happen because obviously it's my fault. I had lost my voice. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the Euros, first and foremost?
Okay, I've heard of, like, the currency.
Well,
that's where my mind went.
Yeah.
The currency.
No. There's a football. So we've got the World Cup, which is obviously every team in the world. Well, we do like the Euros, which is just European teams. And
Okay. Makes sense. Okay.
And England haven't been in the final for 55 years of anything.
Wow.
And they got to the fucking final. Unfortunately, on the way there, I had lost my shit every match. Just like if I was going to put it in the wrestling terms, like a Road Warrior pop. You know, every time.
I get it.
Yeah, and basically... and much like most English stories go, it ended with failure because the Italians ended up beating us. But they did it in an English way because England scored after 2 minutes, which caused a bundle celebration from where I was standing.
Right.
And for an hour, we were in the lead for an hour, looking like it was ours, only for Italy to score and then beat us on penalties, which is kind of the worst way anything can ever happen. So I have been questioning a lot of things.
I understand completely. I would, that is a good reason to lose your voice because I understand that, even though I'm from the States, around the world, I understand that football is a big deal, and I can get that. After you explain everything, now I hate to sound like this guy. And I know all anyone who loves me and you're from Britain, I apologize. I am an ignorant American, but I can relate or understand what you're talking about because that is how I am. Not only when the World Cup happens, but also just in playing FIFA, I'm like that. So I understand. Like I'm screaming when I score a goal in FIFA. So I can understand it. Times 10, and you lose your voice. I remember WrestleMania weekend a few years back. I think it was in New Orleans. It wasn't 30, but it was the year Shinsuke and AJ went at it. I was at WrestleMania. Yeah, 34. So yeah, the year Shinsuke and AJ, and I completely lost my voice. It was my first time seeing Undertaker in a long time live. So it was a great night for me. I know that feeling. The next day sucks.
Well, the problem with it
next few days sucks.
Yeah, the problem it's like they had a game on Saturday, so I'd lose my voice. And then up until the Wednesday, get my voice back, only to then lose it again.
So
I went like a 2-week period with just no voice.
Exactly.
Because every time I was getting it back, it would go. So if it's still a little bit off today, again, I do apologise. At one point over the weekend, it was just monotone. So it would have been, hello, how are you doing? Are you all right? Like, I couldn't do anything else with it. So hopefully today, a little bit more bounce. But that's the reason. Like I said, we've got 5 episodes of NXT to catch up with. So let's get on with it. Of course, we've got Fallout from In Your House, which June 15th. We open with a video package showing highlights from In Your House on the Sunday. Can you remember that, Monty? How long ago does In Your House take over scene now?
I was just thinking back. I was like, man, what is I was like, you should In Your House? I thought the Bash. I'm just like, I had to. Yeah, you're right. It feels like forever ago. Like, oh my.
Well, it all ended with a despondent Willie Regal saying it's time for a change. We're about to find out what that change is. We see Mr. Regal arrive. The fans really chant his name and bow as he makes a long walk to the ring. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to play off each other a little bit here, as we have done. And I, of course, will take the English William Regal. And everybody can guess who Monty will be. But Regal says, thank you. But please just allow me to get a few words off my chest. I've been with NXT from the very beginning, day one. In one way or another, I started down there at the announce desk. Hello, Beth. And I got to call the very first takeover. I've had a lot to say. I've sat for the first few years and watched NXT become this wonderful, beautiful thing that became. The incredible competitors that came through here. The shows we started to do around the US and then to England and Japan and Australia. Then my hometown of Blackpool in 2015. My niece is there sitting and watching the show with me. A lot of things you don't know about it. Even spare moment wasn't spent my family, was spent thinking about NXT, making this the place that we wanted to be. I've given you everything I can give you now because of you and the competitors and the staff who sat in front of the room giving us your precious time. I don't think I'm capable of giving you what you deserve anymore. And so I think it's time for me to... But Karrion Kross interrupted. He demanded the British brawler step down and give him power over NXT. Good night, Mr. Regal. Tick-tock. Samoa Joe's music hit. Joe marched down the ring in a sharp blue suit, and he too has a microphone.
Mr. Regal, I believe you wanted to speak with me.
I did, Joe, but not in these circumstances. I wanted to talk later. But you're here because of my love for NXT. I think everybody deserves a general manager who can hold a position with integrity and respect it deserves. So I would like you to be the new general manager of NXT.
Regal, please. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, my answer is absolutely not. I know you're weary. I know it's worn on you. But in 7 years of NXT, you scoured the world and brought the best here, myself included. You took this company and plucked it from obscurity and made it an international phenomenon. You cast a long shadow and have large shoes to fill. So I cannot accept. But I'll make you this offer. See, I've always understood that I made your life hell while I was, but I always afforded you respect. With that being said, I'll be more than happy to ensure that you receive the respect you deserve from everybody.
He gets right across his face as he says that, the fucker. And then Regal says that's an interesting idea, but that is something I'm willing to do, Joe. There are a few conditions. One, you cannot be a competitor. And two, you cannot lay a hand on anyone unless provoked.
Mr. Regal, I accept your offer, which only leaves one more question to be answered. What are you still doing in this ring?
Well, he gets across his face again.
Tick-tock. Young champion.
Yeah, the crowd chants, Joe's gonna kill ya. And Scarlett and Cross slowly and reluctantly take their leave. The fans start chanting, na 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 na, hey, goodbye, and Regal shake hands. We did it in its entirety. What were your thoughts of that opening segment?
Man, I was so excited. I had goosebumps almost. It was just like one of those things that even though I expected it, the way it was executed, the way it went in line with the entire story with Regal and how we noticed, in the recent reviews we were noticing he was losing control of this roster, and it just made so much sense, and I even liked the, not really a fake out, but the fact that Regal was considering giving him the job in general. I can understand wanting to be completely done with the roster after everything he had been through. At some point, it just seemed like it was more trouble than it was worth to be the general manager of NXT. But with Samoa Joe in his corner, I love we're going to get things back in order story that they're basically telling here. And Samoa Joe is a great option because that's one thing, especially as a talker. He is so good at being intimidating, but at the same time, badass about it. It's not, him and Karrion Kross are both intimidating, but I think it's different. And they're both badasses, but it's different ways to do it. And I just love that energy. And also, so many dream scenarios, as we saw throughout this episode, and you will see going forward with Samoa Joe's involvement. And I'm just overall very, very happy. Like I've said before, he's one of the reasons why I fell in love with wrestling, besides my love, especially outside of WWE. But when he came to WWE, it was a dream come true for a guy like me. So I'm glad he's back in whatever role, because a guy like Samoa Joe is someone you need around. I don't care what he's doing, whether it's commentary, manager role, whatever it is. Samoa Joe is an asset to your product.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's one of the best opening segments I think ever. Bring on the trumpets is what I was facing off leading to that. NXT does seem different from Raw and SmackDown now, obviously with Samoa Joe coming back. Everyone was brilliant. It's the first sign of Kross kind of being scared as well. We've seen this dominant champ, and he's seen with Joe, and he's going, because the thing is, like you said, is there anybody else in NXT you could bring back or use in that position that has earned the respect and has got the toughness of a Samoa Joe? I can't think of one.
No, and like you said, the toughness, the pedigree, you know what I mean? He's a former champion. He was dominant as a champion. And like he said, he was one bad SOB. That Samoa Joe's NXT run is right up there, when he was champion. And I think he is a perfect person to put in that position as a legitimate threat. Now, will he actually dethrone him? Who knows, but I believe that, like you said, just that feeling of, okay, Cross may be in trouble right now. I love how Cross sold it, and I just love like you said, they did a great job building anticipation to possibly a future encounter of some sort. And I just, like I said, I agree with pedigree and with just his skill set. That's another thing. His style with the submission / striking style that kind of can go hand in hand with what Cross does. It's just a perfect mix. And Samoa Joe, who, when you've been asking me that question the past few shows of who can take him down, Samoa Joe fits the criteria of a guy that I can see taking Cross down.
Right. And again, not to pat ourselves on the back or look at the overall arc update, but if you think about the first shot is being Samoa Joe being introduced, and we know in 5 weeks' time what the last shot is going to be as well. The overall arc of the story does pay off as well, But we're going to get into it. We get a video from earlier today from the Grizzled Young Veterans. James Drake said, "Tonight, lads, today the rules, no tags, no excuses." That gives us, you're going to find out exactly why we are the Grizzled Young Veterans tonight. We're going to kick your heads in. And then we get Imperium, Fabian Knight, and Marcel Barthel versus Breezango. The announcer spending more outside the ring than in it, but Vic Joseph at least reminds us Imperium's leader Volta has been NXT UK champion for 800 days. On for the match, we see Prince Pretty get the hot tag and was stopped by a vicious clothesline from Eichner. However, as Eichner leaned down to inflict more punishment, he got caught with a schoolboy for free. Imperium did not appreciate the cheap loss, attacking Breezango after the bell. They took out both men and draped an Imperium flag over Breeze. What was your thoughts to this? This is, of course, linked to Imperium losing the tag team titles, but I think the only impressive thing for Imperium recently has been Volta.
Yeah, that's one thing I think we've noticed, like, especially as time has went on, Imperium as a faction doesn't really have the same, it's like we know Volta and Imperium. It's like that's what it feels like. It's Volta and Imperium, if you see what I'm trying to say, instead of just, them all having a dominant feeling about them. So I see what you're saying there. I think, honestly, that's also an impediment to them because every time that music hit, I don't even think of them. I think of Walter. Yeah. You know what I mean? And as great as they are in the ring, I think that, like we mentioned this, I've mentioned this in the past, they really do need to either, I don't know if they need another run, actual run at titles, or just something to refresh, like anything that can focus them, or maybe a split up of Imperium. Maybe that's what I'm thinking anyway. But they need something to where we can attach something that when we think of Volta, we know what it is. Not only his dominant wrestling style, but he is one like that 800-day reign. He is synonymous with that belt, kind of the same way we look at Pete Dunne in that belt. Yeah. And Imperium as a whole don't really have that, if you see what I'm saying. Something that we can just latch on to say, yeah, that is what Imperium is all about. No, Imperium, if you don't pay attention or you don't see him all the time, Imperium is all about Volta so far.
Yeah, without a shadow of doubt. Well, backstage, winning Regal security trying to break up the competitors in the Fatal 5-Way. Stands cross, of course. Regal says Cole and Riley can pick their opponents for a match next week. Cole says, Regal, what is wrong with you? I should be fighting him. They go after each other again, and Cole makes a mistake of shoving Samoa Joe in the process. Joe rips his jacket off and chokes out Cole. And when he wakes up, you tell him Mr. Regal expects his decision. I mean, I fucking love this. This is just,
It was perfect, and it was so right in line with Adam Cole because he's just like, he's that irritant. He's that guy that, he's untouchable, especially if you ask Adam Cole. So, of course, he's going to ignore the opposite reaction to what we saw from Gargano, I think, later in the night. But still, like, exactly, like, he's that guy. He thinks nothing can, he's Mr. NXT. Nothing can stop him. Greatest NXT champion of all time in his mind. So, of course, he would be the guy who would just haul off and push Samoa Joe and, pay the consequence for. I love how fast they showed us what the consequences would be for, provoking Joe. And I just like that. It established that, Joe is serious. He's not going to take any of that, brawling or disrespect. He's not going to take any disrespect. And I think that was they did a great job of establishing his role as in this kind of like advisor security role kind of.
Yeah, without a doubt, it was absolutely brilliant. We see Kushida make his walk to the ring. We go to commercial. When we're back, Santos Escobar says, Bronson Reed, what happened at TakeOver was a tragedy. I had the North American title in my hands. I saw my reflection in it, and it was the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life. But you had to do it again. You didn't just squish me. You put me through a wall. I'm coming for you one-on-one. I'm going to pick you up like I did at TakeOver. This time, Gravity will do the rest. I'll be the next North American champion. And that leads to Kushida, the Cruiserweight champion, versus Trey Baxter in their Cruiserweight Open Challenge. We get a video package where Trey Baxter tells us he's all heart. It's really his own title on entrance and music. The announcers tell us he hails from Jackson, Tennessee, £5. We see a Spanish fly from Baxter up the challenger for a springboard 450 splash, but only got a near fall. The NXT Cruiserweight champion answers with a top rope arm breaker rolling quickly into the hoverboard lock for the victory. O'Reilly then requested a one-on-one match with Kushida, and the champion accepted. What do you think of this match and the setup for the O'Reilly match?
I really enjoyed this match. It falls right in line with a lot of the other open challenges where Kushida gives his opponent a great spotlight to show what they can do, how they can wrestle and try to outmaneuver Kushida. But in the end, Kushida prevails, and I really love how they're, maybe some guys you never really a lot so far. Actually, as it's been a while. Yeah, they've been using a lot of like newer talent that, of course, you could have heard of if you watch 205 Live or if you keep up with independent talent, But it's been great to see. I love that idea of. Also, I think I said this also recently. I know someone is listening to this show and is really incorporating things, because I remember explicitly saying, you don't even really need to do anything except let Kushida wrestle. And I just love that's basically been his entire cruiserweight run so far, is we don't really need a big story. And it may kind of hurt to not have the greatest stories in these matches, but Kushida does not, if you just let him wrestle, I believe he's just that compelling that it can work. And he's proving that with a lot of his great match output and the anticipation for him, a guy like Kyle O'Reilly, who's great at submissions and striking, against someone like Kushida, who's going to break you down and submit you in the same way, kind of, was a very exciting prospect of a match, and I couldn't wait for it.
No, without doubt. I mean, the mark of a great champion is when you think he might lose. And we thought this in this one, like I said, a great match. And I got to say, I saw this fella, when I say this fella, Trey Baxter, as Blake Christian on Impact. And he here, so it's good to see him going along. And meanwhile, Frankie Monet's backstage, says, Miss Mackenzie, Presley and I are here to make the people happy, and what they want is more Monet. So next week will be the encore performance of my world premiere. She sees Zelaya, or Nymph, and Jesse Chimera, and goes to talk to them. Robert Stone interrupts. She's saying that they won until Stone interfered, but until he showed up, she changed the tune and said she should listen to him more. And then we get LA Knight's coronation next. But before that, Mercedes Martinez said that TakeOver felt the wrath for Team Shah, but I told you before, I'm not going anywhere. Boa, you want to step to Mercedes, you're going to feel the stool against Ali. We're one-on-one anytime, honey, anytime. Miying, next time you won't have a chance to get out of your chair because I'm going to knock you right out of it. Don't poke the bear, and we're going to find out why you don't poke the bear later on. We get the $1 million title coronation. Of course, the red carpet laid out. Teddy Ross set the stage for LA Knight's entrance. Put around how good it was for him to meet his hero. DiBiase said, you're very welcome. You earned it. They shake hands. The Knight said, it would be the honor of my life for you to officially crown me the $1 million man. DiBiase says, son, I'll be happy to. And you see he drapes the belt over Knight's shoulder. The pyro goes off. No interruption for Cameron Grimes. Even the fans are chanting for Grimes. But Knight says, Ted, just having this on my shoulder right now is beyond description. I learned so much the last few weeks. And now I've got everything that I want. And now I have everything that I want. It's time for me to drop what I don't need. He then decks DiBiase with a mic. He's away, tosses the podium out of the ring and starts insulting DiBiase. He said, this is now mine. I'm the only $1 million man, not you. DiBiase repeatedly says tonight, what are you going to do? And I'm the $1 million champ. And now Cameron Grimes is here. He boots Knight out of the ring and goes to check on DiBiase. Knight stumbles his way up the ramp with a title belt as Grimes yells at him. He said, you crossed the line, you crossed it, and now you're going to pay. You hear me? What a prick LA Knight is. I didn't see that coming. What about you?
I agree 100%. I loved it for that very reason, because I immediately, as soon as I seen it, I wrote it down. But I didn't even I wrote it down after I said it out aloud. I was like, what a fucking scumbag move. And that is exactly what it was. It's like, it's just I can't even explain. Like you hit, not only is it hitting the older man, but like you use him basically. You never cared about the platform. You just wanted to get the status, and it just makes you look so it makes you look opportunistic, but at the same time you're definitely a deuce. So I enjoyed it for that very reason. It actually invested me a little bit more in LA Knight's character just based on the fact that he's just like, he already has taken Cameron's dream, or at least, seemed like what it seemed like Cameron was destined to be. And now you didn't even want it the same, for the same reasons that Cameron wanted it. You wanted it for your own glory and all of that. I just love it. I love the story. I love how I love their dynamic. I didn't realize that how great Grimes and Knight, their chemistry, even some of the just back and forth outside of the what they do in the ring, but just like what they say to each other, they have a great chemistry together. And this segment was the right amount of shocking, and it was work. It worked. It really worked in my opinion because I didn't expect it, but I love the fact that he did it.
Yeah, I mean it's another great segment. DiBiase's still taking that bump. It's good to see, and security showing that there are no hope whatsoever. Exactly. But Grimes, I mean, what is the point? But Grimes brought the fire in that one. And backstage, you see Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai. She says to let the way know to hold on to his belt real tight because one title wasn't enough. Kai says tonight we take care of Casey and Caden, and then it's on to becoming champions for a second time. And then we get a weird charging ad that's now up to 10%. We'll keep an eye on that. And then Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart are yelling at Gonzalez and Kai with Mr. Regal and Samoa Joe holding a bat full of competitors make their way to the ring. Part of me wants to see Joe choke them all out, but I think that says more about me than anything. If it was the Attitude Era, goddamn right that would have happened. We lead to the next match: Gonzalez and Kai versus Carter and Catanzaro. We see the young team hitting an elevated lung blow on Carter when Catanzaro had to break up the pin. It's the right moment to allow the face to take back control. They took out Gonzalez outside and hit a net breaker 450 combination splash. The champion barely got involved in time, but she destroyed both women on the outside. Kai hit the GTK for the victory. This was a great match, I thought.
I agree. It was one of the best performances I've heard. I mean, I've seen from Catanzaro and I can't Lacey. What is it? Lacey? Is it Lacey? Yeah, I think I'm right. Anyway, besides that,
Casey
Catanzaro. Casey Catanzaro, and what's the partner's name? I'm trying to remember.
Caden Carter.
Caden. Okay, there we go. I was trying to make it right. I know that's what throws me off. Casey and Caden kills me for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, besides the fact, this is one of the best matches that I've seen them have. And they, by the way, their output has gotten better and better. You can see literally just in how long we've been doing this together. You can watch a match from a year ago and then just see the improvement in their chemistry and in their spots, like what they want to do together. I really love what they've been doing as a team. And it also did a great job of just continuing to showcase. It's an underlying thing. I'm trying to tell you, it's a slow cooker, but it's coming. Dakota Kai, again, they're winning. They're still winning. But you can already see in the stories of their matches who is carrying the most weight. It doesn't really matter when you're winning, but as time goes on, I can just feel it. It's just in every tag team match they have together, it's a similar story where, Kai may be in trouble but when Gonzalez gets going, there's nothing anyone can do about it, no matter who's on the other team for the most part. So I just love how their matches have been put together since Gonzalez has become champion.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, like I said, you see the speed and agility of those two, and then Gonzalez just throwing his shit at them. It's just brilliant.
I love
it. In 3 weeks at the Great American Bash, and then Cole and Carly will have a rematch. Vic Joseph also tells us Poppy's soundtrack is available. Speaking of Poppy, here comes her friend Io, and she says, "I'm back. I feel good. My target is," and Candice LeRae's music interrupts. LeRae says, "Io a lot has changed since you've been gone. Most importantly, I'm no longer an uncrowned champion. And since you are no longer the unbeatable champion, it's back to the bottom for you. I guess there's something that hasn't changed. I still can't stand you. Unfortunately for you, Io, you picked me the wrong time to screw with me." Indy Hartwell jumps her from behind, and the 2-1 assault begins. Zoe Starklow runs down to cut him off before she can do it. Stark points to Shy. She hits a double drop kick. The babyfaces shake hand in the ring as the Hills back away up the entrance ramp. I always feel if they're going to shake hands, do it in the macho Hulk Hogan style. You know, that kind of like, yeah.
The most dramatic handshake.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. They definitely milked it, but yeah, the most dramatic handshake ever is Macho Man. You never will see anyone shake a hand the way Macho Man and Hogan shook hands that night.
Exactly. His meet and greet used to take like 8 hours because of the way he did. Oh, yeah.
What a genius! But yeah, I really was surprised actually by the result of this segment. I wasn't really expecting EO to go into the tag division, but I really love anytime her and Candice have a back and forth because their feud is just so iconic almost to me. Like I don't even think it get enough credit as just how good they are. They're just a perfect foil, for each other. And no matter how the roles are, whether EO is the heel and Candice is the face, it works. If Candice is a great heel and EO is who she is, being awesome, being cool, it still works. So I just love their dynamic, and I think that story carried the rest of this segment here. If you see what I'm saying, if you call back to that story, it makes this segment so much better.
Well, EO and Candice are the Zayn and Owens of the women's division,
Oh, that's a great reference. It's a great one. I get it.
So it should be a great tag match. And backstage, Joe and Regal being interviewed by Mackenzie Mitchell, and Joe chokes her out. No, he doesn't. Regal starts to talk to her, but we suddenly cut to the Dangerous Bastard's arrival. MSK eating popcorn as they walk in. Thatcher looks pissed, but then eats a handful of popcorn and smiles. And then we see Regan and Joe, but they get interrupted by Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory chanting, Joe, Joe, Joe. Gargano says, Joe is exactly what this place needs. Johnny, can you do me a big favour? Gargano's like, anything, what? And Joe says, get out. And Gargano's like, all right, man, but good talk. Pete Dunne then comes in and says a hole through Samoa Joe. He just gives as good as he gets. Regal says, gentlemen, please. I was what my versus done. I don't care what anybody says. I'm saying it now.
They don't even have to say a word either. That's the thing. That's the funniest thing. They can just stare forever at each other. I'll watch it. I'll be happy. I'm just like, oh, look at that. Oh man, he blinked.
It's like a staring competition. Oh my God, he blinked. He's scared.
Oh my God, Pete Dunne's gonna shrug.
Tear in my eye. That's well. Anyway, we'll move on to the main event. Dangerous Bastards, of course, Ciampa and Thatcher versus the Grizzled Young Vets in Tornado rules. Drake and Ciampa exchange body shots before Gibson get involved to set up an elevated suicide dive to take out the Black Heart. Liverpool's finalist found himself at a disadvantage alone against Thatcher, but Drake got involved to set up an elevated backstabber. Ciampa stirred just enough to break the pinfall. GYV tried to send Ciampa through the announce table. Instead, Gibson took an over-the-shoulder pile driver on it. That left Drake alone to take the fair tailwind, then tap out to an armbar ankle lock submission. What are your thoughts on this?
Man, it was incredible main event. I really enjoyed this match. Everyone. The thing is about NXT sometimes is, it's paced so well that, and I know I'm kind of going away from the two individuals here, but I'm just saying the pacing of the shows are so well paced that when the main event is over sometime, and I think a lot of wrestling shows should try to strive for this. You sit there and you're at the end and it's over and you're like, whoa, that's it? You know what I'm saying? And I love that feeling. NXT does it consistently, especially at takeovers and some of their specials. I love the way NXT is paced, and this match fell right in line with it. You get it was over, and I literally was sitting there. Okay, that's over already. 2 hours fly by because of just how enjoyable this show was, and this match was another part of that. So I thought it was good. I thought it was a good move.
Well, like you said, what a fantastic main event, and maybe the best tag team in NXT, the Grizzled Young Vets. I cannot wait to see them do it. Ciampa said this was our takeover as he celebrates, and Mackenzie's outside with Regal and Joe. Regal says, I think things are going to be a little different around here. Joe says, night one of many. Regal says, shall we? And they both depart. I mean, what a fantastic main event and a superb episode of NXT. And all these pricks that have been saying NXT's been shit recently, fucking watch that episode and tell me,
Right.
tell me, you know. We'll move on to our next one, June 22nd. Of course, opening with a recap of last week with Joe, so making sure Regal gets proper respect. And from there, we go for the ring of the arrival of Adam Cole, baby. And refused to choose an opponent. He did not want to play by Samoa Joe's rules. Carmelo Hayes walked out to convince the former NXT champion to fight him. He slapped Cole in the face in a deliberate callback to John Cena's debut. Start this match off hot. Hayes and Cole both nearly took the win, but neither could get the free. The rookie blocked the first panel while Sunrise attempt with a super kick, but the second hit clean to give Cole the victory. What are your thoughts on this?
I can't hear you. I lost. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. So Adam Cole and Carmelo Hayes was a very, very surprising. I wasn't expecting Adam Cole to. I was expecting this to be much more of a squash match than it actually was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I wrote down that this match really showcased just how much they like Carmelo Hayes, in my opinion, because not only did he get a chance to show what he could do against Kushida, you put him in the ring with Adam Cole at this point. Like someone who had, not only was he on top of the game, of course, as a champion, but even now, promos, ring work, Adam Cole is still that guy on NXT. Whether he's champion or not, you're going to pay attention to what Adam Cole is doing. And I thought it was a great look for Carmelo Hayes to get to show anyone who's watching just how he stacks up against a guy like Adam Cole. So I thought everything went as planned. It wasn't anything too special, but I thought it was a really good showcase of their younger talent.
Yeah, well, no handshake or respect from Cole after the match. Meanwhile, Frankie Monet is so excited backstage with Elia and Jesse Correa. Change Robert Stone Brown into the winner's circle. Once Brown shows up, she begins singing a different tune. And back to the present, begins Mitchell with Zoe Stark. EA gave me a big break in NXT last week. I was just paying it back. That's what I do. Now EA wants to tag with me. That's a surprise. And she says, Stark, I respect you, but I don't like you. Stark sex. That's all we need. Which was, I mean, EO, it's a bit harsh there, isn't it?
Like right off the bat that we're just gonna go. I'm not gonna plant the seed that eventually that we won't like each other. I'm just gonna tell you from the beginning I don't like you.
And that's what I say to you before we start recording. It's like, okay, we're gonna start in a second. I don't like you, right?
But yeah, let's do this podcast together. Even though I hate your guts, I respect you as a podcaster, but
but
I don't like you.
But your voice gets to me. Like that's. Well, after the break, we see LA Knight saying he doesn't need an old man on the gravy train riding my coattails. Then mocks Cameron Grimes to caring more about the old man, Ted DiBiase, than your money. Remember the fall you took it in your house? That ain't nothing compared to what you get when I drop you on your head, courtesy of. And a woman walks up with a drink. Whose game is it? LA Knight's game? I'll drink to that. Fucking brilliant. Old school. Yeah. He's a piece of shit heel. And some wrestlers just don't like to be heel, and he loves it.
I think exactly. You can tell he is just, this character is really like, he seems invested, and this is really him, or at least like him turned up to another level. And we all know the best characters are really part of your personality, just turn up that volume as loud as you possibly can. And I think LA Knight is really fell into a very good comfort zone with this character, and the current story is a perfect example of that, because like you said, he gets a chance to showcase just how much of a scumbag he is, and he made a great point. I can understand, that young cocky guy who feels like he's the man right now. I don't need the old man. I don't need you to manage me. I don't need your rub, basically. And it's just perfect. It's a great story for someone like LA Knight. And I love the turnaround, just like I said, a couple updates ago. I feel bad if you're not up to date on our NXT update, because just a couple updates ago, I could swear we was literally trying to build up the hype for what Ted DiBiase and Grimes, with their beef. And now he literally, even like LA Knight, again, a little truth in the promo. You seem to care more about the old man than your own cash. I love it. It's just a great promo. And like I said, LA Knight has really been growing on me. And I think he's just in a really good space right now with this current character and story.
I think without a doubt, I don't think I can add anything to that. So we'll move on to Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory telling the fans that NXT needed a new NXT champion with a new manager backstage. He called out Karrion Kross, but Pete Dunne arrived instead with Oney Lorcan. Bruiserweight took offence to Johnny wrestling himself a number contender. Gargano walked out refusing to fight. Theory taunted the Bruiserweight on his way out and got a broken finger for his trouble. I mean, Theory just makes me laugh so much. I mean, no hijinks or shenanigans, Peter. That was one of the lines as well. And let Theory stuck his finger in it and got caught. You know? We go to an earlier today with someone asking Grimes if he checked on Grandpa Ted in a nursing home, and Grimes decked him in the face. I love it. That was for Ted. And then we go to Mackenzie Mitchell interviewing Cole. Willie Regal interrupts. Just so we're clear, there's no animosity between you and Joe. You put your hands on him, he cuts you out. It's done. What I suggest you do is don't provoke him. Cole is upset that Regal didn't reprimand him for putting his hands on him. I don't want to be here anymore. Move, bye. And then the charging battery is now up to 31% for those interested. Gargano knocks on William Regal's door and complains about Austin Theory's fingers being snapped. He also gives Regal a new pencil. He asks Regal what it cost. And encourages to get Joe and choke Dunne out for Regal to knock him up a little bit. He tells them both they can have a tag team match with Dunne and Lorcan next. Gargano said, I don't even have my gear. Regal said, that's not my problem. You're wasting valuable time. Back to the ring. I just say, we do it every update, but I just love the way. I love Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory. It's hilarious. You know, it's just great stuff.
I wonder, like, I doubt anyone, and it seems like I don't even know if you can write for Johnny. It seems like it's just naturally. Like, that's the thing I like the most. Like, it's not someone trying to force comedy on you and be funny. He just seems, everything about this character he's created is just naturally funny. You know what I mean? It's just, I love it. And then, of course, like you said, with Theory, being the, you know, like, just as much of an idiot character, the stereotypical idiot comedic, you know, character you find in like comedic shows or sitcoms. So I just love, like you said, everything about them, and then you go into the entire faction and what they've been able to do. It's just like you said, consistently every NXT show is going to be either something that's going to make you laugh, make you smile, and you're going to be invested. And I don't know, every week I'm looking forward to whatever Johnny Gargano has to say or whatever the Warriors are doing. I'm going to always. So, yes, I agree 100%. They're just so good.
I mean, I could watch Johnny saying, Joe, come on, choke him out. Like, so it's like a school thing of like, hey, you know, what are you fucking... but anyway, move on to Io Shirai, and it's Zoe Stark versus Aliyah, or Nymph and Jessie Kimura. Io's so cool. I don't know if we've said that. Shirai might allow a look out of her depth early, but the Rubber Stone Brown responded by finding an opening to isolate Stark. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell arrived to watch this match closely. Stark was worked on, but hot tag to Shirai, who put this match away with a moonsault. Poor Nymph still looks like she started last week, and maybe not the best idea to call it the best women's division in the world. I think Starks again at press though, didn't she?
Yes, and I think that's kind of funny because like based on like how long we've known each, you know, like Zoe Stark, and then you see someone like Aliyah who we've seen forever, and like you may have seen minimal improvement, but you just look at how Zoe, if you're not familiar with her and you see how like she's newer, she is just like incredibly good for someone that is, you know, considered a newcomer in NXT. I don't even think we can say that anymore. She's established, you know, the Toni Storm stuff, you know, everything that she's been doing. And I think that the reason why you can take Zoe Stark so much seriously now also is because of the way they've booked them. You know, they booked Zoe Stark so good. I'm saying them because I'm thinking of Sarai also in that same vein of they just got here, but who they fought and like the way they've done it, you know, it hasn't just been squash match after squash match. They're putting them in there with people that we know can go, and they're still hanging with them and looking good. So I think Zoe Stark has been shining for a while now in whatever role they've been giving her.
I think without a doubt, like you talk about the booking, we've seen it with you know, Tian Shah and the way Zia Lee's been worked upon it, and also with of course Zoe Stark as well. Maybe with Sarai. Could argue. I mean, we'll probably get onto that in a little bit, you know, but they do the reason why the women become successful, and it's because each have got individual characters and it means something to them. And even with Stark, it's a really simple story. And speaking of the other two great women, Gonzalez and Kai have arrived. And Kai says, if you think you're going to jump the line for number one contender, you're crazy. Those titles are ours. Shotzi, Blackheart, and Ember Moon arrived to give their opinion. Moon says they're in front of the line, not the back. I think we're reminded that we'll kick their asses. They're out and all out brawl in the middle of the ring. Samoa Joe arrived, and he signals for security to swarm the ring and take. They didn't get involved. So even in that one, it's all Johnny Gargano saying about Joe, but he's made Candice say to him, like, look, we'll respect Joe, and it works even more in the kind of storyline. And then O'Reilly noticed tonight's main event as we go to commercial with Kushida versus Carl. And then Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory versus Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan. And Theory struggled to come back because of his injured finger. Gargano got involved fighting like the old Johnny Wrestling to stay in this fight. Gargano finally got the tag and he and Dunne went to war. Johnny Wrestling pushed himself, hitting suicide dive DDT for hitting one final beat on Lorcan to take the victory. The best thing on the show by far is immediately spoiled by Karrion Kross giving Gargano a shot to the head from behind. The fans boo as Scarlett looks on with a wicked smile, holding the champion's belt over her right shoulder. Before I get your thoughts on the match, Theory forgetting about his hand and then making a tag is one of the greatest things that I've seen.
Like I said, it's the little things that they do, and like he does that reestablish. Like, just in case you forget, he reminds you every week just how stupid he's supposed to be. But it's in a fun way. It's a good, it's not the infuriatingly stupid. It's just like what it makes you chuckle because he's just such a lost cause at times, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I love this match. And again, another thing, doing that in a match with someone as serious as Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan is another thing too. Like, being that guy going against those guys, it just works very, very well. I thought the match was really, really good, and I think I honestly, at this point, since Theory has been impressive also as long as I've been watching him, I really thought that this is what you would expect too with these four involved, if you see what I'm saying, because you have ring generals like Gargano and Dunne, and then you have Lorcan, who, like we all know, one of the most underrated people in general, and you add Theory to the mix, and it worked fine, and I really like this. It may have been like normal television type tag team match, but it was top notch stuff though.
Without a doubt, it was great stuff. Johnny was fire and Theory shone. And Frankie Monet's encore is coming up, but Karrion Kross dares Samoa Joe to cause a provocation. Joe says, of course, champ, lets him by with a smirk. Meanwhile, Dunne is behind him, and once again, the two stare hold through each other. But this time, Regal is at the round telling him to call her Jets. And Beth Phoenix throws us to news that Stark and Shire, Kai and Gonzalez and Moon and Blackheart will have a triple threat number one contendership match next week. Then Frankie Monet versus Elektra Lopez, where tries to tell us Frankie Monet's premiere, and he's just been learned to pronounce it correctly. Premiere or premiere? I've never really noticed it. It's premiere. Until he said it, I thought, have I been saying it wrong all these years? Like, am I not English? Like, premiere. Like, I never fucking. Anyway.
Trust me, we even know. We say we speak English, but it's really American. Don't worry about it.
Well, it did box office records. Yeah, the premiere did box office records. Frankie barely treated Elektra Lopez as a threat until she took an elbow. Physical offense motivated Loera Loca further, who attacked her young opponent. She hit a glam slam to take the victory. It's a squash, but Frankie is main roster ready, isn't she?
Oh, yes. Oh, man. She definitely, I don't think she needed to be, eased into anything. She was ready, in my opinion, before that she was even signed. Like, she could have AJ Styles it because of how good she is in this character, in that role. Of course, in the Natalya Valkyrie days, we all know how established she already was. So I'm not surprised that every time she's been on television, and that's another thing. She gets your attention because it doesn't matter whether she's just walking out there to talk. They could do the whole Emma character of just walking out and going backstage, and it probably would work with Frankie because she's just so good at grabbing your attention and just looking like a star. Like I said, from her very first entrance in the actual premiere, she just looked like a star. Probably more so than almost anyone else on NXT roster, probably besides Gonzalez as the champion. So, and of course Io. But Frankie Monet definitely can. I can see her fitting right in and both divisions could use her. But maybe on Raw, definitely on Raw, she could be perfect. Maybe liven up those 3 hours because Lord knows, we need it because man, 3 hours. But okay, sorry. Anyway.
Oh, come on. To be fair, when you watch it, it feels like 5. Let's be fair to Raw. Yeah, come on. That's an evening's worth of stuff there. Because you're always stopping it and having a break. Come on. We always know this is how everybody watches Raw. You watch somebody goes, I watched it through with adverts. And you go, you fire. That's what you say to them. It ends up they watch the clips on YouTube. Anyway, Bronson Reed is backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell, says he doesn't understand Santos Escobar at all. Hit Row interrupts. Top Dollar says everybody's colossal until Colossus walks into the room. Zara Scott promises that Everrise are about to be taught a lesson. Dollar gets one last partner shot off to Reed. You're not even for North America, honey. Homie, sorry. Honey, I thought he was really... Sorry, you're not even from North America. Turned into... You're not even from North America, honey. Which seems a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer. But if I was delivering that line, it would be, hey, you're not even from North America, honey. Like, don't even go there. It's not worth it. Well, that's what later Dollar King, and that's what Everrise called him earlier. Coincidentally, they're in action next, and Top Dollar is pissed. And he's yelling, what's my name at Martel and stomping a mud hole in him. Parker is plucked out of the air by Dollar and thrown to the ground. Martel eats a long kiss goodnight, and both Top Dollar and the Dollars immediately deliver another hit maker for free. This was 100% squash. Everrise are stacked up like cordwood in the ring as all 4 members of Hit Row kick them out of the way to strike a pose. What were your thoughts on this?
The match was like 2 minutes and 35 seconds, so I have pretty much nothing to say about the match other than I will say this. I don't know what Adonis really didn't need to do anything. Yeah, you mentioned it. Every spot you just said was top dollar. So, and that's basically what the match was, just Top Dollar destroying them. I really think it did a good job of establishing those of us who were unfamiliar with Top Dollar and what he could do. Because, I've seen Adonis at times, even though, honestly, it would have been nice to see a little bit more of him because the last time before, if you only watch NXT, you've seen Adonis, he was just some jobber pre-Hit Row, honestly. But, of course, his relationship with Swerve has established, with Hit Row in general, has established himself. And I thought this was a great little first, little teaser for what could be to come with Adonis and Top Dollar in the tag division. As far as Everrise go, the funniest thing about this, they entertain me, actually when they get a chance to talk. They're not as, they're okay, but I haven't really, didn't really get a chance to see them do much in the ring. And this is another example of that, as they just get squiggity squashed. Yeah,
they were slowly growing on me. A Hit Row already a big deal. Adonis's beautiful drop kick. It's all head. Easy, everybody listening. Martel awkward landing. But again, I don't know if it's me, but Hit Row, right? So in American, Hit Row said quick in America does sound a bit like Hitler. I mean, hashtag just saying. But when they go, and up next, here comes Hitler. And you go, what? What are they showing? It may be me.
The day we get a Hitler character, that sounds like the apocalypse.
Yeah, he won't be as much. He won't be as much as a heel as LA Knight. There's no.
Now, if Hitler is less of a scumbag than you, you're doing really good heel work. You're doing really good heel work if you can out-heel Hitler.
Out Hitler. Well, I'm just saying, don't be surprised in a year's time. We get the new Alfred Hitler debuting on NXT. But see what happens. Mercedes Martinez is backstage. She gets a mixed tag team match against Zilly and Boa next week. Don't make friends very easy and ready to go with or without a partner. As Ali jumps on from behind and Jake Atlas runs in to make the save and help her to the back to her feet. Looks like I just joined a fight. See you next week. Okay, Jake. We get a video package, right? For Kyla Riley Kushida. And then we're told Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher will have a face-off with MSK next week for the tag shot at Great America Bash. And then main event, non-title Kushida versus Kyla Riley. Kushida and Kyla Riley declared a respect for one another. Both promised to bring everything in this battle. This is a back-and-forth clash where each man counted the best shot of the other. Kyle O'Reilly got trapped in the hoverboard lock, barely managing to escape and transition to a schoolboy with a leg trap to steal the win. What were your thoughts on this?
I really thought this match was really impressive. They had the chemistry that I expected, and they fought before, in the past in Japan. I've seen them fight in the past, and this was similar to what I've kind of seen before. But I will say I was disappointed that Kushida lost. I don't know if that's just because I'm a mark for Kushida or, whatever it is. I understand Kyle O'Reilly had, bigger things in the future for him. So I get it. In hindsight, of course, but at the time I was bummed. I really wanted Kushida to shock win, but I kind of always knew that Kyle probably would get that victory. So it was still a great match, and I enjoyed it. And I think those two can even do better than that. So, who knows what the future could lie. Maybe they'll meet up again down the line in different circumstances. But I thought this was really, really good.
Without doubt, I mean, it's a banger of a match. Kushida gives him respect. Cole's arrived here and O'Reilly brawl their way back to the announce desk, taking turns slamming each other until security comes to break up. They spill through the barricade. Back in the ring, Kushida's been attacked by two men in hoodies. It's Roderick Strong and Aaron Paul. This is Diamond Mine. There's a third man identified by the announcers. I think it was Hideki Suzuki, and they all got Malcolm Bivens as a manager. Bivens throws the cruiserweight belt with Kushida, and the Diamond Mine stand tall to close the show. Wow.
Finally got our answer. Right? You asked me for weeks, what is Diamond Mine? What do you think Diamond Mine? What do you think is going on? Finally, it was so good to finally get some clarity on what this was all about. Rust and Bivens did disappear, from television kind of, so I guess it, makes sense. As a matter of fact, everyone involved that we knew before this, reveal basically kind of disappeared. So it actually kind of made sense once I thought about it. But it was still shocking nonetheless. It was also nice to see. I'm not really a big fan of shaving of the whole shaved look on Roderick, but that doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure he could care less about that. I really like the rebrand. I do wonder though. This is the one thing I will say about Roderick Strong joining Diamond Mine. After what happened in your last faction, do you really want to just jump right into another faction? You know what I mean? That fast, like he was, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I would go it alone, at first. But I get it though. I like I can't wait to see what's coming. I do also like the idea of basically having the younger guy in Rush, having the veteran and Strong, and I guess Hideki is like the coach. You know what I mean? Yeah. So a coach. So that's just also something else that's different to me that I wasn't really expecting. I like how they talk about themselves as like an MMA training camp, and But this was a great moment. It was nice and shocking. So it was nice. I couldn't wait to see. Okay, what's next for Diamond Mine? What are these guys are all about? But I thought this was a great way of debuting them at the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, great to see Roddy. Aaron Paul looks well. Suzuki looked miserable. I wonder what they said to him. Before he went out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your hair's a mess, and he's just like, guys. His debut on TV, and he's like, But obviously with Strong, yes, he is a leader now, but let's hope they don't become the X Factor. Because we all know what happens when people try and create groups that maybe don't work out. I'm just saying.
By the way, worst theme song ever.
Oh, come on. You did it with the X Factor. I don't get that. I haven't won it. I don't ever take that back. Yeah, I know you love X Factor.
X Factor.
Watch that be number one on iTunes. That's going to be
They literally just dubbed X Factor over this guy's country music single or whatever. Don't even get me started on Uncle Cracker. Man, I feel old. His name was Uncle Cracker.
Oh, we love the deep cuts here. We love them. They're brilliant. We move on to June 25th, and WWE released several superstars from their contracts, including Fandango, Tyler Breeze, Killian Dane, Marina Shafir, NXT Tag Team Everrise, Arturo Ruas, and 205 Live. Davari, the Bollywood Boys, August Gray, and Kurt Stallion. Before I get your thoughts on this, I think August Gray was one of the tweets of the day when he goes, I guess my match on 205 is a loser leaves town match now. But what were your thoughts on this? Because it's quite a shock.
Oh, yes. I was completely thrown off. I couldn't believe it. A lot of it, especially some of them were so like they were recently on, like we just talked about Breezango the week before this, and then Everrise right just on television. Like I said, seeming to be building something. I didn't know if they had a future. Obviously, they didn't have future plans for Everrise, but it felt like they were trying to give them something or showcase them in some kind of way, or at least But that fast, if it's one thing I am getting used to, which is not really a good thing, I guess, with the company, is we know how fast that someone that you like or someone you thought was interesting could be out of the door. That fast. Someone like we talked about how underrated and how great Breezango were for a long time. Even though honestly, I kind of thought that the writing was on the wall with them character-wise anyway. But I didn't think it would mean release automatically. The Shafir release, especially with Strong coming back. And I know they're married, so that kind of shocked me. Like it was fun, it was ironic. Like Roderick Strong pops back up after saying he's retired, and then pops back up, and then his wife is released not like a few days later. It was just that was funny how that worked out. Not saying I laughed. It's funny how things go, but anyway. Yeah, I hate these days. These days always suck. But I think this time, especially with Killian Dane, someone like him who has so much potential, it sucked to see him go. But I always say that this is just a new beginning for a lot of these guys and gals. It's so many. This is the greatest time ever to get released from your wrestling contract without trying to sound like I don't understand how hard it is to get bookings and all that. But if you are a wrestler with all of these many places that you can go now and showcase your talents and all of that, this is a great time for it. So I guess that's the only positive way I can look at it. But yeah, release days and these mass releases are always tough days.
Well, when you think about since when the last WWE2K game came out to this year's edition, I think there was something like 45 wrestlers will not be on the roster. And when you think about that, so I mean, obviously with legends, Sting or a Christian and people like that, along with just the talent, because like I said, Killian Dane was involved with the Drake Maverick storyline when that was going on. We obviously saw even Alexander Wolf with Imperium, the last bout of releases, and Everrise, like I said, you start getting used to it, and all of a sudden it's done, but we hope they can build up from that. We move on to NXT June 29th. We get a recap of Diamond Mine's arrival and a preview of Riley and Cole at the Great American Bash, the number contendership women's tag match, which starts the show with no Beth on commentary. So it's Blackheart Moon versus Gonzalez Kai versus Stark and Shiai. The open exchange with Moon and Io and Gonzalez would make a killer match. I was thinking this guy, just give me that triple threat match. Give me those three women. But as it turned out to all that brawl where the talent fought to the outside, after chaos that ended with Zoe Stark on top with Solidarity outside, referee got control and forced wrestlers to return to the ring. Gonzalez saved Kai by taking the brunt of Shia's moonsault attempt. That allowed Kai to need to take the win with a roll up on the Genius of Sky, but Shia kicked out and hit another moonsault on Kai for the win. What were your thoughts on this? It's just a great match.
This match was really, really good. It was chaotic. I really thought all the ladies did a really good job of implementing things. It was at one point, it just seemed like it was just one big spot after the other, one big moment. I love the athleticism that I really like that element of Stark and Shirai's team. I think they have like they had an athleticism advantage over the teams. Like they were probably the both team. They were the only team where I thought both people could high fly and also do other things in the ring. And I thought that was a great element that they introduced into this match. And also, just again, we know how cool she is, but this match was kind of also about reestablishing just how great Io Shirai is, kicking out and getting the pin at the end of the day. At the end of the day, no matter what she's going for, she not just stand up. I want to see what you think about this. The entire women's division as a whole has kind of lost a little bit ever since she fell off the top of the mountain, in just my opinion. And I think every time I get to see her wrestle, that's why it just shows me why, because she's just so good. And it's no fault to any of the other ladies. I don't think there's anything they can do. Io is just that good. And I thought this was another match that showcased that kind of.
I agree, and I think the problem is as well when you've got such dominant champions in Gonzalez and even Cross with the men's division,
Yeah,
it's trying to build up challenges who are a serious threat. And when you've got Io, you go, yeah, she definitely has, but you need to kind of build others up around you. You go,
right.
who else is there? You know, it's a bit like with the men's division. You go potential, but it just kind of needs to take it to that next level. And I think with Zoe Stark, with Io, that kind of rub there, and hopefully maybe something from here. But I'm still surprised EO's in NXT, you know. But then again, I'd much rather have her doing something in NXT than being called up for one match and then just being lost on the main roster, you know. But the closing sequence was jaw dropping. It was brilliant. Such a diverse division, even from experience. You know, you talk about Zoe Stark just starting to someone who's been wrestling like Candice Ray for a couple of decades now. It is amazing. We get Karen Cross getting wiped out backstage by Johnny Gargano, crashed him to garage door at the Performance Center as a black shirts, whole cross back. He screams, "Oh, this is how it's going to be. You're a dead man, Johnny." And then we get a video package about the 2019 NXT Breakout Tournament when we come back. This is the foremost that the tournament will return in 2 weeks. Mackenzie Mintle interviews Bronson Reed, and he said if it wasn't for that tournament, he wouldn't have gotten it to the North American title in 2021. Hit Row interrupts us further, remind him that they're both in it. Top Dollar says Bronson Reed is scared. Dollar King, all you will do is talk. If you're the champion, you say, well, you put the title on the line tonight against me. And Reed says, you got it. And then we see Cross is pissed. And when the NXT champion recovered, he stomped to the ring and demanded Johnny wrestling face him while Gargano walked out alone. Austin Theory jumped Cross from behind. Well, unfortunately, it didn't work because Cross recovered and knocked them both out of the ring. Cross slams Gargano into the plexiglass repeatedly, rips apart the steel steps. Black shirts swarm Cross, prevent for doing whatever he had in mind. Gargano hits Cross with a super kick. Samoa Joe gets in Cross, gets him through saying, and Cross says, "You're doing a hell of a job, Joe." He leaves, and Dynamite is up next, and we go to commercial. Is Johnny turning face? I mean, he's got to be, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely. Oh, especially with the antics of a Cross, because Cross, honestly, I don't see how anyone can not see all of the signs of someone who needs severe anger or just like the best anger management. Like, oh my goodness, the littlest thing ticks him off to a level like to where his face turns red. I get it. I understand he's all death and doom, but man, does he get like to the extreme level of angry so fast. But I think their dynamic, makes him. And I also like this. I think what Gargano was doing, or some of the things he was saying across, was similar to what Adam Cole did, but it was different also because, a lot of the things that he does and the way the character that he's playing feels just different. And maybe it's because he makes us laugh, and we kind of just felt we also everyone except Candice right now is basically, a highlight of the show in a great way, and not necessarily in a way that makes you want to boo any of them. Yeah. And even in that, it's not that bad because she's part of the way. So we just all love the way, and I think that element plays a factor also. But Cross's work as this, whatever it is, he's just entitled or whatever it is that's going on with Cross's character that makes him, not only so angry, but just like he doesn't want to be told what to do, all of those elements that Cross's character possesses has helped it feel like a turn.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. We see the charging phone batteries now up to 61% for those keeping track. Gargano and Theory are fleeing the building to avoid the wrath of Cross. And Theory says that was the best super kick I've ever seen. Meanwhile, Winning Regal made Bronson Reed versus Swerve Scott official as tonight's main event. And now Diamond Mine have arrived. Roderick Strong is going to represent the faction for a one-on-one match against Asher Hale. And way back, he's explaining who Hideki Suzuki is. As Strong works over Hale on the ground. Back elbow from Strong, jumping knee. Strong applies a submission hold for the weakened Hale. And he quickly taps Michael Bivens. Says, Diamond is over for business. And this is just the beginning, baby. And then we see Cameron Grimes headed to the ring as we head to a break. Did we really need Roderick Strong, in a match to go? We know what he can do.
Right. I agree. I agree 100% there. It didn't really, especially in this match again. Like we know, like that's the simple as that. We have experience seeing what Roderick can do in the ring. So it's much better in my opinion, or it would have been much better to try to put Tyler in that position. To let Rust or let him show more what he can do. Because I honestly believe that's what this Diamond Mine should be all about. Also, because I love Roderick Strong as the guy right now, but if you can turn this camp of some sort into a prodigy creator, man, I think that would be a great element, especially when you call it Diamond Mine. It's based off the whole Diamond in the Rust thing that they have going on with Tyler Rust. So it would have been a better move, in my opinion, to put him there for that squash match. But, I guess they're just trying to continue to establish them all together, or establish Diamond Mine. So I guess I can understand it. But yeah, Rust made more sense for that spot.
Well, up next, Cameron Grimes coming out on fire. He's on fire, baby. Using the crowd excitement behind him. Ari Sterling was not ready for the passion the technical savage showed. He hit the cave in to put himself back on the winning track. But LA Knight interrupted the celebration to talk Grimes. The crowd booed Knight, so Grimes challenged Knight to a match for the $1 million championship. The champion agreed, only if Grimes becomes his personal butler if he loses. And this rivalry is only getting started, isn't it? Really, that's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we called it once he lost that ladder match, that just the chase, and the chase is completely on. I love the different elements because, it's one thing to know that at some point maybe Grimes will get the title, but it's another thing to add the element of the butler, to add all of these stipulations into everything that's going on. And I think that this storyline it started off as like a secondary, no untitled storyline. He's added a belt to it. It's just grown completely. It started with a DiBiase Grimes storyline that led to this. So it's just funny that when you think about where the story's origin and where it is now, man, what a progression. And yes, it has a long way to go, I believe. I don't think the payoff is going to take time, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, well, the thing is that LA Knight, like I said, is such a piece of shit heel, and yes. Grimes is just getting that momentum behind him. They don't mind their roles. And another thing I liked, well, Sterling, who lost the match, he was one that made a comment about Grandpa's Ted in the car park the week previously. So it's not like Grimes beating a jobber, but actually made more sense. And I don't think it's the little things like that. If you pick them up, that it makes the story even more, like in a weird way. But Indy Hartwell and Candice Ray interrupted an interview with Mackenzie Mitchell, was talking to Zoe Stark in the Shy. Candice Ray said, "I watch my back if I were you, Zoe. Tends to be a sore loser." And Shy said, "Candice, you've never beaten me. Next week we become champions." You can't argue with that. And Cole Cole's headed to the ring. He promised to bring his best in the match rather than Cole, just as he did against Kushida. Former NXT champion walked out to pick a fight. Samoa Joe walked out with officials to make sure it did not get physical early. Cole tried to bait O'Reilly, even bring up his wife. O'Reilly didn't rise to it and called Cole pathetic. The former champion took a swing at Joe on his way out. And O'Reilly locked Cole in a heel hook. Joe waited a little bit longer than expected to get officials to break up the submission. I say a little bit longer. I mean, you could probably go into a little bit more detail.
A little bit longer. He stood there and watched it a good 2 to 3, 4 minutes before he decided to leave, and then he said, "Okay, all right, let's get him off him. Let's protect the match." But let's make him feel it a little bit first. I love it. It's like, especially since Adam Cole did whatever he could do to try to get under Joe's skin. It just made so much sense. Like, why would I rush to stop this? Like, you deserve it. You're all in this man's face. Like, I love and also the hatred there. I love that, that it's where it needs to be, especially after that, the unsanctioned match and everything they had been through up to that point. That's another great thing about the segment. Everything they said beforehand was just perfect, if you see what I'm trying to say, from a storytelling element, because it shouldn't be nothing but no respect should be even left for either one of those guys based on what they've been through so far. So I just love that. And the segment as a whole, continuing to poke the Samoa Joe, is what Adam Cole was doing, and it just worked perfectly the way that segment ended.
Right, we've seen him set up with Adam Cole, with Pete Dunne, and obviously Karrion Kross. But go back to Cole and Kyle. I would say I'm more team Cole than Kyle. What about you? Who would you favour in this one?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think Cole has been on fire, not only since returning, but honestly, as much as I like Kyle O'Reilly, I don't think there's anything. I love him in the ring. Also, it's just it's tough in my opinion for a guy like him who he has personality, but it's more of a sarcastic type personality. But it's not that when you hear Adam Cole speak, when you see him in the ring, he is a star. If you see what I'm saying, and I don't know, I'm always a little iffy with Kyle, even though I love the way he works. I love his work, but does he have the star power of Adam Cole? I don't think so, and that's why I'm Team Cole.
And I think that is what Kyle's problem is in NXT at this moment in time. But we see the charging batteries up to 71%. Hit Rose backstage pumping up Swerve for his North American title shot. Top Dollar says, let's get this money and let's get out of here. Swerve says, Bronson Reed, tonight you're going to find out why Swerve is different. And then we got Zaya leaving Boa versus Mercedes Martinez and Jake Atlas. Tian Shah's entrance is awesome. Mei Ying then rose up from her throne at the top of the ramp. Martinez was distracted, allowed Lee to hit with a suplex and a spinning heel kick. Martinez kept his shoulder up instinctively, but the referee had to call the match. And to be fair, though, that super kick at the start looked fucking vicious. Let alone, you know what I mean? I'm looking at it and going,
I agree 100%. I watched the first one and I couldn't believe that she was okay, and then the second one I was like, yeah, stop this match, please, because she didn't get her hands up. She could have been concussed before the last. Who knows? It was scary, but man, did it make Xia Li look like a killer, especially doing it to someone like Mercedes, who is established as a badass in her own right. So it really did wonders, in my opinion, for the Xia Li character, whether it was done, purposely or not. Also, I must say that based on, if you remember, when we found out about Tian Sha, just their progression since the whole origin story and how we kind of laughed him out of the room, I have to give Triple H and whoever's been coming up with ideas and producing props, because they feel way more legitimate. If you see what they feel, not just more, but they progressively have gotten more and more legitimate, and that the weird backstory that's funny kind of has took a back seat because they haven't given her any Alexa Bliss powers or anything. So it's just really still been focusing on building Xia Li and now Boa. So I really like what Tian Sha are starting to become as the weeks have went by.
Yeah, well, Mercedes suffered a concussion and has been released from the hospital as we speak. And this was a little bit distressing because you always worry when they don't show it. You're thinking, fucking hell, hang on, this is actually serious. Like, because it's when they zoom in on it and then you see, you go, oh, okay, this is just, it's like the Kyle O'Reilly thing. You know what I mean? When they release the footage on social media of his seizure, you go, I don't think this was real. But then again, it's ifs and buts. But we see Bronson Reed working out backstage, and then we get the Dangerous Bastards facing off with him. Ciampa put himself and Timothy Thatcher over as the men's best suit to hold the NXT Tag Team titles, while MSK demanded respect from the veterans. Nash Carter punched Ciampa in the face to almost start a brawl, but Blackheart told Carter he got that one for free. Ciampa promised next week to take the gold. A lot of build up for Great American Bash, but this should be good. Both a strong shout to win. And we get the Dangerous Bastards throwing chairs again, which I always think of you now, every time.
I'm serious. I think it's an underrated element of every promo they ever do. They butcher those poor chairs. It's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me who cares about the surfaces I sit on.
Think of the chairs. God damn. Like, we'll start a petition. But Ciampa is so scary, and the kiss on the cheek as well. Yeah, which kind of like, you go, people go, oh, we kissed him on the cheek. You go, no, you fucking kissed him on the cheek. Like, he's in trouble now.
Yeah, that's a terrifying. You don't want him to do that. That is terrifying coming from Ciampa. I love this segment though. Besides the fans kind of, even though I guess I kind of understand it because the Dangerous Bastards are awesome. Like, I get it, but at the same time, the fans were definitely not on MSK's side. But yeah, the segment as a whole was really well done, and I was excited for that tag title match.
Well, Regal confirmed his night match next week in an interview, and she wants his thoughts on a breakout tournament. He says the winner will go on to face the champion of their choosing. Saraya interrupts and says she wants a match with Toni Storm, and he'll take it under consideration. And then we see Gargano Theory didn't really leave after all. They tried to attack Cameron Cross as he got into his car. Cross recovered and locked Gargano in a cross jacket there and says something funny now. After he slumps to the ground and leaves in his car with Scarlett, Joe pulls Gargano up by the collar and says perhaps he pushed Cross too far tonight. He announces recap the car for next week before our main event. I should say, Cross got in the car and looked to drive it. I mean, maybe at Gargano, but Joe was there. I mean, I guess that was the point, but there was. I mean, what were your thoughts on vehicular assault? You know,
That's such a good point. Like, you already choked the man out in the street. Like, you haven't done enough. And now, and what I like, the only thing I will say is that it's funny how evil Scarlett sounded, because she was like, "Come on, let's do it." Get in. Like, what is wrong with you? It's just wrestling. That's, again, back to my anger management point. Like, I get it. I understand. I understand that the attack, and he talks a lot of mess. He's little, so he shouldn't be such a loud mouth. Maybe that aggravates you. But God, you go to, like you said, vehicular assault. He was laid out. That could be vehicular homicide, or, if he just laid out on the road. And then he crosses. I'm sorry, he gives me vibes of a guy that is not just going to run him over once. He's going to reverse it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like Roadrunner.
Yeah, but I was shocked. I couldn't believe they were going to go that far with it. But of course, with the Samoa Joe element again, so I understood it, even though I didn't really think it was necessary. But it was cool.
I love it if Regal was like, right, we're going to get Dr. Shelby in, and you're going to hug it out, right, Carrion? You've got anger issues. You need to sort it out. I doubt that will happen. Well, our main event was Bronson Reed, the North American champ, versus Swerve Scott. Hit Row watched closely as Scott tried to find an early edge against the power and strength of Reed. However, the Colossal one was too much for him early. Splashed off the top ropes, Dave Swerve, forcing him to escape to the apron. Ashante the Adonis attacked Reed behind the referee's back. The Colossal one responded by sending both top dollar and Adonis through the screen at ringside. The distraction allowed Swerve to hit the house call, followed by a flash for the win. Your new North American champion, Swerve Scott. Wow, what are your thoughts on this?
Man, I was so shocked. Like, it was just like I just remember everyone being emotional about. I remember telling you just like how much I enjoyed the story of Bronson Reed was coming close to winning the North American Championship, and then he finally gets it, and now man, what's next for Reed? And then he immediately loses the championship in fashion that I'm not a big fan of. I didn't like the track, but by the way, Top Dollar, whoa, what a bump, man. he hauled ass into that through that barricade, and it was just, oh man, I like that spot a lot. So it definitely popped me, but when I saw that it was just setting up that finish, I was a little bit disappointed, but at the same time I was happy, because I also believe this is great, because we've been talking about this for a while, about how we can just see the Swerve future. He was definitely going to be a champion of some sort, and North American champion seems to be the first stop for him. And I think this also does a great job of setting up Hit Row as as a faction to be taken seriously when it comes to picking up titles. So who knows what's in the future for the entire faction now. So I liked it from that element, but Bronson Reed dropping the title so fast after that great moment, I was shocked, and I immediately was looking for rumors to where it was Bronson Reed going to the main roster.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Bronson Reed was on main event with Karrion Kross, and then him losing does kind of ruin it a bit, I suppose. But then you think to yourself, well, Johnny Gargano and Kross going to fight soon. What's going to happen there? But there is something about Swerve that even as he's making his entrance, I just can't take my eyes off. I can't remember the last wrestler, and I don't know what it is about it, but it's just my eyes are transfixed to him. And it's just, I don't know if it's the look or the scowl, but like we talked about, the heel Swerve, and anybody deserving a championship. Yes, Reed losing is a shame, but Swerve picking the win up for Hit Row is excellent. And then we move on to
his attitude for me. I think that's what it just translates through the camera, his attitude. And also, I think it's also a little bit of his catchphrase. It worked. He's been telling you he's just different, and I think that's why you can't keep your eyes off him.
And it's crazy. I'm really digging him at the moment. We move on to the July 6th edition of NXT. Of course, great American Bash. We get a beautiful intro video with Dusty's voice, then a preview of what to expect tonight. And, of course, the set looked ace as well with the Statue of Liberty. What are your thoughts on the intro video and the setting? I know it's the same place, but I think they still did a good job.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've done a great job, honestly, with a lot of the sets of just kind of sprucing up the CWC, making it fit So I really like the look of this. It really fit that Great American Bash tone. You know, it was right around that time. I think I had liquor in me, so it probably looked even better. You know, because I was it was pretty. It was way after Independence Day, but sometimes that celebration lingers. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was a nice look, and they've done a really good job. Sometimes you can't even tell they're just in the same arena, and that's one thing I gotta give them props on because they obviously are in the same. They've done a great job of making those sets look distinct.
I think without a doubt. Well, our first match is MSK, the tag team champions versus Dangerous Bastards, and the veterans overall MSK with the in-ring acumen. It was a distraction early, especially in the hands of Timothy Thatcher. When Tommaso Ciampa got involved, he physically embarrassed Nash Carter. Carter and Wesley slowly gained some energy, getting physical and intense with the challenges. Lee kicked out of a powerbomb backbreaker from Ciampa, then MSK began to build momentum. The two teams up with the Blackheart hitting a senton bomb and a corkscrew senton for a near fall. Ciampa responded with a fairy tale ending. Then Toothless Timmy locked in the ankle lock. Ciampa tried to stop Carter from interfering, but was knocked into Thatcher. This set up Lee for an inside cradle for free to survive the veteran challenges. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, talk about MSK got a few haters. They got no reaction to that hot tag either.
Insane, right? I can't believe. I don't understand really what it is. That I don't know why, but man, I think their match output do not match the reactions they're getting because they are really, really good at wrestling, and I think they are. I don't know. I don't know how you can argue with them being the best team in NXT with just what they've been able to do anytime they have a match. So the hatred that they receive from what I don't know what it is, the NXT universe just hasn't warmed up to. I mean, not NXT, the CWC crowd just has not warmed up to them at all because that's not Full Sail or whatever. So I don't know what it is. I'm not sure, but I think you worded that perfectly when you said they survived the Dangerous Bastards. Maybe it's just the love for what Thatcher and Ciampa are doing, or just the love for Ciampa because we know how great he is. But they've been getting this even when they're not fighting someone like that. So I don't understand it, and I don't think it's deserved. But I do think that you pointed out when you said that they survived, that was a great way of talking about it. But that's basically what happened. It was just a great match all the way. What I basically expected. One of my favorite tag matches from Thatcher and Ciampa so far in their run together. This is right up there with what they just did with GYV. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think this was really good. And the champions probably should have retained because I'm not sure that Thatcher and Ciampa are quite there yet. Maybe they are to some people, but I don't know. I don't think they need the belt. I don't think they need the belt. That's what I mean. I don't think they need it.
They don't need it, but I think they deserve it eventually, especially where we're seeing it. Wesley's such a talent as well, and this was a very WWE way of ending the match. But literally, like a drinking game. Anybody listening to this, anytime a WWE match ends in a roll up, take a drink. You'll be pissed after an hour of Raw, basically. Like, it is incredible what they do. Anyway, the battery's now up to 91%. We see footage of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly arriving early today before going to Samoa Joe and winning Regal in the ring. We've seen how Johnny Gargano has antagonized Karrion Kross. It's clear it's not going to end well. I demand Johnny Gargano and Karrion Kross come to the ring right now, please. He did say please. Gargano answers his request and comes down to the ring. Johnny wrestling. Kross walks alone. No Scarlet NXT title around his waist. The NXT General Manager announced Kross versus Gargano for the NXT Championship next week with Joe as the special guest referee. Despite warnings for Regal, Johnny Wrestling continues to talk the NXT Champion. The final submission versus barely stopped Kross from laying out Gargano again. Hopefully Joe can cost Kross maybe, and so does Johnny as he cheered Joe as ref. That is just, I love it.
It's so smart, you know what I mean? You don't see it often. Usually when they do the special guest referee, it seems like no matter who, the two guys are usually indifferent unless it's someone that you have a feud with. And this is my first time I ever seen someone get popped like, oh yeah, I like that guy as the referee. It's just hilarious to see. It's just smart also. It's just smart. Again, the little things that Gargano do that not only establish him as hilarious, but it's smart. He's not. It's funny. Like, Theory makes me laugh because of how stupid he acts. Gargano is so clever, and it makes me laugh. And I like that element too. And I just loved everything about this segment. I think this is the segment in particular that I was talking about earlier, where he kind of said things similar to what Adam Cole said, but it was completely different. It wasn't as self-centered. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was more
yeah.
so as trying to bring down Cross instead of being more like Adam Cole, who was bringing down Cross while upping himself. And, so I really like that element, and I just love everything Gargano has been doing. If anyone deserves a shot at the World Championship, Gargano has unlimited title shots in my mind. I don't see how you can't go wrong with Gargano in the title match.
Right, Gargano's line as well will say, it's funny you mentioned my wife's pants because you couldn't lace up my wife's boots. Again, like, little things that you go. And I mean, Cross looked pissed as well, there's no doubt about that. Talk about people that are pissed off. Kushida is annoyed that he and Carnivide were jumped by the Diamond Mine. The Diamond Mine may be open, so Kushida is ready. Looks like they're setting up a tag team match there. Then a video package for LA Knight, the champion, versus Cameron Grimes. $1 million belt on the line. Grimes will be Knight's personal butler if he loses. And Cameron Grimes clothesline LA Knight out of the ring after a crossbody. Technical Savage almost picked up a quick bit. The two went back and forth where Knight had to try and slow Grimes down to stay in the fight. Grimes kicked out of a fireman's carry slam and a suplex to stay in it, causing Knight to grow angry and grab the $1 million championship. Referee stopped it, and the chaos that followed led to the Technical Savage hitting a poison runner for a near fall. Knight planted Grimes outside with a DDT on the championship, outside the referee's vision, nearly getting a count-out win. When the Technical Savage got in the ring, he stumbled right into the BFT, which put him away.
Great, man. And good stuff. So much good stuff in this match. I mean, I really enjoyed this match, like along with the underlying story that they have going on here. And I honestly, though, the only thing that took away from this match, and this is just me being, maybe that's just like I said, sometimes you realize maybe you just watch too much wrestling over the years. It is rare that the heel would end up being the butler in that scenario, if you see what I'm trying to say, or get the embarrassing thing. It can happen. But I think in this point in the story, I think it was no way that Knight was going to lose that match. So, I that's just from my thought process, because it's just too early in the story to embarrass the heel in it. But the babyface, oh yeah, of course. And either way it goes, though, I thought the match was great, and it was the right amount of heartbreaking, because again, I can't believe that scumbag LA Knight, got out of losing this championship again to Grimes, or losing to Grimes again, and I thought that was another great element.
Yeah, I think that the reaction when Grimes wins will be spectacular. This is one of the best stories this year. And Grimes is so agile. We touched on this in the last update, and now I've noticed it. It's like, he is really, really agile, actually. These two confused for ages. It's classic heel versus babyface, top facials and selling. Also love the story with the belt outside as well, because you're thinking, we didn't get it out of the way properly. No, it was set up to be used later. Right. And then Knight said, I hope you bought your plunger. I hope you bought your cleaning products. I've got lots of work for you. Backstage, Kai and Gonzalez are angry at Blackheart and the Moon. Ember is a little blood that won't die, and Shotzi green hair troll doll were put on a shelf before. Next time it will be for good. And then the NXT Breakout Tournament competitors. We're going to see who's going to be the next breakout star. We've got Trey Baxter, Carmella Hayes, Andre Chase, Josh Briggs, Ikemen Jiro, Joe Gacy, Odyssey Jones, Duke Hudson. The opening round begins next week on Tuesday night with Ikemen Jiro and Duke Hudson. I'm picking Trey Baxter in this one. I picked it before I actually had made a look to see all of them, because I think technically I would have probably gone Odyssey Jones. But who are you going to go for? I'm going to say Trey Baxter.
I think you took my Odyssey Jones is who I'm thinking for. Thinking of, I think he from what I'm familiar with, the few things I've seen him do in the past, he's been really he was really good. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, besides that, I'm picking him. I think not only is his look, I can't wait. I think this would be a great time to showcase to the world what he can do as a character. Even though I am interested in my guy Ikemen Jiro. Oh my God, come on now, with the jacket on. Come on, man. Yeah, it would have been nice if keeping the jacket on, winning the whole tournament. I always knew he probably wasn't going to win, especially once I found out who he was facing. But still, I'm definitely interested in his character, though. But I also have to say, I really love just the look of everyone in the tournament. I think the future is, I'm not familiar with everyone, but everyone's look and what it seemed like when they were introduced. It's just I can't wait to get to know a lot of these guys and figure out what's next for them. And like we saw, they did a great job in the promo the week before showcasing just how Bronson Reed or, Cameron Grimes, you know what I mean? A lot of people that we're talking about all the time, every week on NXT was in this tournament. So I really love that element of the tournament, too. And I think that makes these matches mean a lot more just based on just how much we've seen guys from that tournament what they've been able to do. Swerve now included, you know what I mean? Grimes, Reed, Swerve. So yeah, I can't wait to see how the tournament goes as it continues.
Well, without a doubt, and the thing is as well, only one of them from the last, breakout tournament is not around, and that's the guy that actually won it. ACH, he had his problems with WWE.
Right.
Everybody else there has become a big part of NXT, so this should be quite exciting. We can look back in a couple of years' time and go, well, look at these guys now. Main eventing takeovers, and this is where it kind of got started. Speaking of man who main event takeovers, Adam Cole was getting taped up backstage in preparation for his match against Kyle O'Reilly. But another title match coming up. It's The Way, the Chance versus Zoe Stark and Io Shirai for the women's tag team titles. Indy wearing Razor Ramon custom gear, which you've just got to love. It's this thing with Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano, but Indy Hartwell's just so entertaining as well. We see early this match, Indy Hartwell dumps Zoe Stark to the floor, had a fight through to eventually get a tag to Io, who found herself face to face with Candice. The Genius of Sky caught the poison picks with a tiger kick and a springboard drop kick. The Ray responded by trapping Shy and Gargano escaped. Hartwell stopped Stark from interfering with Dexter Lumis' silence, but the Genius Sky rolled through to safety. The lights went out as a recent battery vignette reached percent, and Tegan Knox appeared on the ramp smiling. This distraction of the Poison Pixie allowing Stark to take out Hartwell with a knee for the win. Knox sent LeRae running. And yes, in all this going on with the shenanigans, we have new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. What are your thoughts?
I was very, very shocked because, again, we love The Way here. Of course, that reign could last forever because, just like I said, they were so entertaining. And it's funny that happened the way it happened with Io, the Throne, and Candice. Kind of again, Candice finally is a champion, and look who takes it from her. I like that element of it also. And then again, I have to point this out, and this is due to, of course, the seriousness of her injury. I had literally that just shows how long we've been doing this. I forgot that Tegan Knox was involved with Candice LeRae. Before that, it flashed in my head the vignettes with the whole, and Johnny being so adamant about a television. I do remember it now. But like it took me a while. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen, And I think that, of course, they have a lot to do with how serious and how the lengthy time that you have to take after another ACL injury. But it was great to see her back, and it was a nice. Nice. I love the continuity there. So the segment as a whole was cool. I'm shocked that we had new tag team champions, but it was one of those pleasant.
Yeah, fair play to Zoe for getting the pin as well. It could have been quite easy for Io to get it there, and a lot to process. But first time winning gold in NXT as well. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but fair enough. And then O'Reilly's warming up backstage. We get teased for the Hit Road Championship celebration via Rafa. And then we see Tony Storm says he gets in the ring with Raquel Gonzalez should become champion. She also says Sarai's making a huge mistake challenging her. I've won more matches in Japan than she's had hot dinners. The answer is no. I bet if she was doing that competition against me, she would lose. Anyway, meanwhile, during a commercial break, Dexter Lumis carried Indy Hartwell to the back, and Hartwell was nearly in tears, and so was Beth. So that is still going on there. We'll touch more on that next week. Then we see Hit Row decide to have a unique championship celebration with a championship cipher where Shante Lee Adonis as a DJ, B-Fab and Top Dollar drop some bars to prepare for the main event. As it's Swerve Scott. See how hip I am. The new NXT North American champion did not take a breath as he made clear he only continues to deliver on his promises. Hit Row wrapped together to end this, establishing this was only the beginning. And I've got to tell you something. At first, you're not sure, and then at the end of it, you're going, Hit Row. You're like, yeah, I'm into it.
I also want to add that anytime you have to tell anyone you're hip, you're not hip. I'm just letting you know that right now. Anytime you have to reestablish your hipness,
hey,
you're not. Yeah,
I'm down with the kids. I'm down, yo. On fleek. Yeah. I've been shook. Yeah.
I don't know how do you go from you went from one version of outdated by saying fleek and then shook is okay. That's outdated. People been saying that since the 90s. You're not helping your case. But anyway, the cipher itself, I love. That's something that you can always attach to Hit Row. And if they continue, not say they have to freestyle all the time or rap for us as much as possible, because I know how wrestling fans are. Any music, I don't care if it's good or bad. If it's out there, it's probably annoying some fan. Because a lot of us are just here for wrestling and all that. And I get it. But I love this because it's a distinct thing that you will always know this faction for. They are rappers or whatever, however you want to label it. I love their swagger, their attitude with it. And then, like you said, whether you pay attention to what they're actually saying or not, by the end of it, you're like, okay, I like this, and you of course you have that. And I didn't really think about it. That the chorus of that theme song is very, very catchy.
Hit Row.
I like that. I got it too. I'm in my room, okay, all right. So I really enjoyed it from that standpoint. And also it's different. Anytime WWE or any wrestling company is doing something that's different to me and in a different way, I can enjoy it. We have a lot of people who are trying to do it. I know a lot of people say John Cena, but I promise I get it, but I can go even further back to say people who are rhyming. A lot of people rhyme in their promos in the past. So, it just depends on how you want to look at it. But, I like Max Caster when he does it. He's very disrespectful. He reminds me more of John in the way he does it. But I really love the distinctness, like to have an entire faction, of course, minus Adonis, but because he doesn't really rap much, but even that DJ element, it's cool.
He's literally me. It's like, yeah, all right, yeah,
yeah, okay,
yeah,
yo, tell
him money, yeah.
Oh my god! But yeah, I love it. It's completely different, and that's anytime you're doing something that's different, I think you have a good chance of getting it over. And I think from what I've seen, I enjoy pretty much so far everything they've been able to do.
Well, like I said, I've actually put it's different, which is good to see. So I completely agree. Like I said, different. Sometimes people go, but that's what makes it better, or sometimes
right.
or special. Is that you do try something else, We see Willie Regal backstage. It looks like Cameron Grimes has a new occupation. We got Cole and Riley to go. She turns to Joe to ask about being a referee for Cos and Gargano. He says, I can assure you as an enforcer, as long as I'm not provoked, everything should be okay. That being said, may the best man win. And then Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly 2. And Adam Cole nursed a left knee injury from last week that forced him to start slow, but he matches Kyle O'Reilly when his rival began to lay in shots while Kyle O'Reilly hit hard. Cole hit harder, planting him with a backstabber for a near fall. He talked to O'Reilly, mentioning his wife. This up O'Reilly who got too aggressive. Cole bashed his left knee hard into the steel post, which left hobbling. Cole and Kyle O'Reilly found every opening to do more damage. Blocked in the knee bar, forcing Cole to crawl in pain to the ropes. Outside, Cole hit an emphatic Panama Sunrise, but it was enough. The former NXT champion dodged his diving knee, hit the last shot for a shocking near fall. O'Reilly blocked a Panama Sunrise with his bad knee. The pain to Kyle O'Reilly was worse than it was for Cole, who managed to hit the Panama Sunrise and the last shot to win. What are your thoughts on this?
I really liked the match. It was an incredible match. I don't really expect much less from these two. I think this is something that I do have to say this. And maybe I'm nitpicking, and maybe that's just the way wrestling is these days. But I must say that come on, Panama Sunrise to the floor. like that's the only. Sometimes the things that they are able to, wrestlers are able to kick out of. It really surprises me. Like I remember, and then again, here we go, old man card, James, old man. You remember when a pile driver was it? That's it. That's all you need to do. They sold it like it was death, a regular pile driver, and now you get the destroyer of some sort, the Sunrise, to the floor, and you can find a way out of it. That does kill me a little bit sometimes, or at least maybe it kills the little kid in me who just remember the pile driver being
Or like a DDT.
Yeah,
Sleeper
exactly.
Hold.
Right.
Show. Yeah, Roddy Piper's finish was a sleeper. Like, you fucking what? Like, no, seriously. Like, look, like
that's all he needs to do.
No, he didn't hit a 630 whilst he did it. No, he didn't. No,
no. But other than that, I love the back and forth elements. I thought the match did a good job. I love Adam Cole again being the scumbag that he is, bringing up the man wife. Of course, I like that element, and I thought the right guy won. Adam Cole. I don't know if he needed this victory after the unsanctioned match. But I will say that it just kind of reestablishes what I just mentioned earlier, and what I felt, that Adam Cole is the guy out of those two. And even with Kyle O'Reilly being as good as he is, and yes, I can consider him on Adam Cole's level. Adam Cole, but not quite, if you see what I'm saying. Like on his level in the ring, yes. But Adam Cole as a total package, no, he's on another level, and I think this match is another great example of that.
Well, maybe, so instead of O'Reilly maybe getting a definitive win, we get the kind of WWE style rubber match which extends a feud, which, maybe people can say they need to extend it, but sometimes it'd be nice to go, no, Carl's a legitimate threat. He's just beat him two in a row. That's it. But obviously he can continue, and that's because of what they think about Adam Cole as much. It was much better than their takeover match, which, like you said, that kind of bordered on Donkey Kong ridiculousness of kind of smashing each other over the head. It's still good stuff, but I don't think Cool Carl can be a top-level player. Hopefully prove me wrong. One thing I did notice about this as well, really strange to see the fans leave right after the final bell. I mean, as soon as that match was over, they were flooding out, and it was like, I haven't seen this in a while. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, it's the fans leaving, isn't it? Yeah, they're not employed. Like, they don't just stand there and cheer. And that's a shot of that's a shot at AEW as well as NXT, everybody. All right, calm down. So that is the episode, not bad. And then on SmackDown, Shotzi and Nox debut, because obviously Vince, Triple H must have pissed Vince McMahon off to go, oh, you're building up those vignettes, let me take her. And then they bring Shotzi up, not with her tag team partner, and make a new tag team. Or am I just being negative or not?
No, I 100% agree with you. I literally was programmed. I've been programmed on watching it. It just, again, I think it shows how much the decision makers like Vince, how much they actually watch, I guess, because I don't know if they understand how, if you watch everything that they put out, how that can kind of not only just confuse you, but just like, all right, why are we, it feels funny. It's hard to, because she was just she was not just in a tag team, she was tag team champions not too long ago with Ember Moon. And, now, and it don't even be started on taking the black heart off. Oh my goodness. But, it is what it is. That's just main roster business. I do think Shotzi is kind of in that, maybe she, Shotzi is weird to me, because I feel like as a character, or what we know she can do, she definitely deserves that main roster spot. But I do also believe that, unlike, for someone like Io, who doesn't have anything left to prove, in my opinion, in NXT, is still there. I think Shotzi had maybe a singles run that she could have, took advantage of in NXT that she never really got. Like, one towards the title is what I'm trying to say. So, that's another thing that kind of knocks me off. And then again, even with Tegan Nox, we didn't even really get a chance to get an actual match out of her moment with Candice LeRae. So, it was weirdly timed. But once I heard Vince McMahon was at the Performance Center and watching it, I was just on notice that, okay, Triple H is about to get, a lot of the stuff he's establishing. Like, I'm pretty sure he's writing out shows, and he just threw all his papers off the desk after that.
Well, exactly, yeah. It's even like the little ones, like, oh, I tell you what, I'm gonna put Tony Storm and Sarai. And then they're like, no, Tony Storm's coming soon as well to SmackDown. No, you've lost another one.
Give me a break.
So we'll move on to our last episode of NXT, July 13th. We open with a graphic paint tribute to the late great Mr. Wonderful
Yeah.
Paul Orndorff. A complete legend. And after we get a video package with highlights of the Great American Bash last week, we get preview what's to come tonight. And our opening match is Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai. Kai hit the KO kick followed by a spin out of DDT, but can only get 2 on the pinfall. Moon answered back with a Frankensteiner, but a rival recovered enough to plant Moon with a GTK for the win. So Moon on Rome doesn't look good, Monty. It doesn't look good.
Right? Immediately take her partner away and bam, down the line, down the ladder she falls. So yeah, it's crazy how that worked out. I did like this match. The only thing I must say about the way that Dakota Kai did the kick, the finish, is that obviously Ember Moon literally helped her self get kicked in the face. So that's the only little thing about it. But I thought the match was really, really good. But what happened after the match seemed to interest me a little bit more.
Well, this was fine in parts, but there was a couple of missteps. Kai picked up an impressive win. The lights go down. Azir Lee marches to the ring where Gonzalez and Kai are waiting. Lee walks right up to Gonzalez and demands the title shot. Gonzalez takes off the belt and says, "You want it? You've got it." Lee walks away. I don't know when the match will take place, but it appears it's been made pending William Regal's approval. So thoughts on this? Is this too soon? Is Gonzalez face? What's going on?
And yeah, that kind of throws the as far as character wise goes. I was definitely confused on what did this mean. I think they're confused because Raquel is kind of, been on both sides of it, and like I guess you can kind of switch it up. Like when she fought Ember, she went back heel, but like before that, in the Mercedes, I think they were kind of having her face in that Mercedes Martinez feud. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like she's jumping from side to side, kind of, or maybe you just want to say she's a tweener at this moment. I'm not sure as far as that goes. Xia Li, I would have liked her to get more, like at least another storyline, but honestly, with who? Like that's the only question now. Like who else would they put her? Like who could they establish her with right now? That's not the champion. And I was racking my brain trying to figure out, especially with Toni Storm, that news like you just mentioned. So I was just trying to figure it out, and so I kind of understand it from that standpoint. But at the same time, I do agree it's probably a little too soon. What I really liked was Dakota Kai's body language also as Xia Li walked right past her and, challenged the champion. And you can just see it in Dakota Kai's face and body language that she's starting to get more and more annoyed about getting ignored. And, maybe I think moments like what we just saw there will be in the video package for that eventual Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez feud that I'm actually kind of, like I said, they're slowly getting there. Maybe, we'll see. Maybe it happens faster than I believe, but I think they're doing a really good job of teasing dissension.
Yeah, no, that is an excellent point, and I bring it back to it. Then I'm glad you did, because like I said, it's the little things like that we're seeing that's going to pay off later on as well. And we get a video package of Malcolm Bivens earlier today saying the Diamond Mine is open for business. Bivens makes an open challenge and Bobby Fish interrupts to accept. Roderick Strong says, "All right, Bobby, ain't seen you in ages, mate. How's it going? Say, what you been up to?" No, he didn't. He says after he's done with you tonight, Fish says, "You think so? We'll see." We get Ickerman, Jiro promo where he come back. "Don't let my good looks fool you. I'll kick your ass." He also tells us that Ickerman means handsome in Japanese. Ickerman will be in the NXT Breakout Tournament. Not bloody likely, but wouldn't mind if he did. And then Cameron Grimes, the butler. Mr. Grimes rings the doorbell at Knight's mansion for his first day on the job. Knight tells him to meet him out back and slams the door. Knight forces him to get a haircut and a shave. Well, I say a haircut and a shave. They tied it up. It wasn't kind of full on. And Knight thinks it's bad. Yeah, it's shaper. Yeah, fair enough. He looks embarrassing in a suit, but Grimes is happy with his makeover and tells Knight he's just jealous because he looks so good. Now, this is going to be awesome, isn't it?
Oh, man, I loved it. Once I saw, like, the attitude that Grimes was taking with it, kind of like it ain't nothing you can do to bring me down type of attitude. I'm still a millionaire. I'm still Cameron Grimes. I just loved it because that's right in line with his character, and it's just a perfect play on the butler, owner type of thing, or like, homeowner type of thing. So I liked it. I really, and I couldn't wait to see what was coming up because, like you said, they tease like just everything Cameron Grimes touched. Like I said, ever since and even before that for me, but like you said, ever since that that stuff with Loomis. He has just, it doesn't matter. Even if I'm pretty sure you can read some of the stuff on paper that he has to do and be like, man, this don't sound like the best stuff. Yeah. And Cameron turns it into gold every time. So I really think he deserves credit for it just seeming like no matter what they tell him to do, whether they're going to dress him up this way, make him do that, make him do this, he finds a way so far to make it work, especially in this new money man Cameron Grimes role.
Right, and it's great to see people that can make things work. Unfortunately, this will not work because versus Bobby Fish. And while Fish had Russ feeling early on, Roderick Strong distracted Fish, allowing Russ to detect on a chop block and a buzzsaw kick for the win. After Kushida ran down to make the save for Don't Mind could do more damage to Fish. So how about the feud no one wanted? Strong versus Fish from the Undisputed Era. This was passable, but using Kushida for this, I am not fucking happy.
I agree 100%. I don't like it. I'd rather they just go right into the Strong. Again, they don't really need to reestablish Strong at all. You know, especially if it's not any bad blood there. Like, what is the reason for him and Bobby Fish at this point to even have a problem? Is it you guys were not included in that fallout, really, if you see what I'm saying? So I don't understand what's going on there. And I'd rather Roderick Strong and Kushida just have a straight up feud. You know, I don't understand the reasoning for that booking, especially when he's just coming. Again, what reason do you even, other than the fact that they attacked Kushida first, what reason did Kushida even have to save Bobby? You know, it's just weird, you know, placement a lot. And I also just didn't like how, you know, well, this is where I feel about it. Way to build the hype for Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong, having Fish lose in like under 2 to 3 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm just really excited about that match against Strong when he, loses to the prospect. He loses to the prospect. So in 3 minutes. So like I don't know. It was weird.
No, it doesn't look good for Fish. But we go backstage to Samoa Joe giving Karen Cross the rules: protect yourself at all times, obey Michael Myers at all times. Do you understand, sir? I said, do you understand? Cross said, I'm going to tell you what I understand. Screw me out of this match and you'll be the one that would be dealt with. Joel says, I'll take that as a yes. We see the way arriving early, but Indy Hartwell stopping for some friendly advice about Dexter Lumis, courtesy of Beth Phoenix. Sometimes you've just got to take a chance. Beth should know, the lucky girl. On to our next match. It's Gigi Dolan versus Saray. And Dolan worked hard to prove herself against Saray, especially after Spy's arrival of Mandy Rose. However, all she did was find the beat of the Warrior of the Sun with roll-ups attempts. Saray answered back with a low drop kick and Caesar suplex for the win. I thought Gigi was having a hen night. I honestly did when she was coming out.
That entrance, I agree. Oh my God, she definitely looked a little slivered, I guess. Like she was all for something. It looked for a second. I don't know if that's part of the character or not, but yeah, I noticed it too. I have to say, Sarai and that drop kick. Oh my God, it seems like no one is ever ready for it. It's right on the chin. It was perfect, and it looks as good as you can get with that drop kick. So I really enjoyed that. I do want to say this though, when you lose shots in Knox and then Mandy Rose is what pops up, man. Again, Triple H had to throw his papers against the wall like that. Okay, so I give you that, and you give me Mandy Rose to work with. Okay, that's a fair trade to you, huh, old man?
To be fair, at least it wasn't Dana Brooke. You know, like look.
Oh God, yeah, well. Yeah, fair.
Well, negative.
That's fair.
But
that's very fair.
We've given praise to Zia Lee. We've given praise to obviously a lot of women here, but Saray maybe needs a little bit of work on the kind of character and the development that we're seeing at the moment. But it was an okay match. And then Santos Escobar promo. He said Swerve is a winner, but he's very unlucky because he's got the one thing I want from Bronson Reed. He's a guy that flunkies mocked the hit row Cypher. Escobar says, speaking of no class, Dexter Lumis, he's a loser in love, and in a few minutes a loser in the ring. Let's do this. And then we see Duke Hudson saying, I'm not perfect, but I've got to be close. Straight from Adelaide, 6'5", 270 pounds, best back in the business. You go ahead and call me the breakout champion. The other 7 won't mind. You don't have a chance of winning anyway. I've got to say, I'm digging that there. Leading to Dexter Lumis versus Santos Escobar. The Talk to Jar is scared. The former NXT Cruiserweight champion who gladly accepted repeated help broken wild around Mendoza to save him. It's only thanks to repeated interference, including Mendoza pulling him out of silence, that Escobar was allowed to win with the Phantom Driver. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, Santos needed wing to look strong. I love it, but there was a time and place that didn't help. And Dexter, he used to look like he was going somewhere, you know?
Yeah. He's fallen completely off from that trajectory that he seemed to be on. I know they're trying to say, and maybe that's the story. You know, his focus is off of wrestling right now because he's in love, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But still, I do think he's, man, what a fall from grace. Even though I did like what the finish of this match kind of set up after the match, I must say this also that Santos Escobar definitely needed this victory, but it probably didn't have to come at the expense of a guy like Loomis. So, that's one thing I will say, because I agree with you. He was unstoppable for a while, and seemed like he was on a trajectory to get a title shot of some sort. But again, does a character like Loomis need a championship? I don't know. I don't really know with that, with that character of his that. What is his intention? That's one thing that I will say is the downside, even though this character is extremely different and I love his dedication to the character, as far as when it comes to winning matches and championships, when he doesn't speak. So how do you identify his, other than, just him popping up out of nowhere? But yeah, that's my two.
Well, we see Hit Row met Legado del Fantasma at the ramp, making clear that Swerve was not afraid of Escobar. Beth Phoenix told Indy to take a shot, and she found Loomis post-match and tried to carry him, but unfortunately dropped him, and then Candice broke them up. But Indy was brilliant, this story. But does this story need to conclude soon? Have they strung it out enough now?
I do think at some point it's going to have to happen, because at some point, Indy, after a while, Indy is going to look kind of bad that she continues to ignore how Candice has outright, basically, we call it, we have a couple of terms for what's going on. and what happened there, we would say that Dexter Loomis got cock blocked. And she has been consistently doing it, from the beginning. She's basically the only thing kind of standing in their way. So at some point, Indy's going to have to realize that. And if they keep dragging it longer, dragging it on, I don't know how Indy does not look, completely clueless and dumb. And maybe that's another part of it, because we know that the way the Indy and Theory are kind of like the children, while Gargano and LeRae have a parental role. But still, after a while, Indy, come on, it's obvious. It's only one thing really stopping them, if you see what I'm saying, at this point. So it needs to come to an end soon, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Well, Wade Barrett interviews Kyle O'Reilly, and O'Reilly says, Wade, losing is part of what we do. Losing is part of life. What was the killer instinct? I don't know. I still want my soul back. Now I'm wondering if I need it back. Barrett saying, you're saying you need to make some changes? And O'Reilly says, I can beat Adam Cole. I have beaten him. But what matters is how you walk through the fire. We can meet on the sidewalk or meet. I'm just not the guy who can and will beat Adam Cole. I'm the guy who can and will finish Adam Cole. What the fuck was this?
Yeah, it made no sense. I absolutely hated this segment. It's rare though. They usually do a really good job in those interview segments of making, highlighting the wrestler's intentions or making what makes sense. And this is a big, not really a big moment, but it is kind of important for Kyle O'Reilly to establish himself in a way to where it makes sense. Because again, like we said, this character of his, they obviously think of him more than I think a lot of us who are watching think of Kyle O'Reilly. So in a promo like this that is just confusing, and it doesn't, you've beaten him, but we all no, you beaten him, but it didn't really count. He still has your number. So it just didn't make sense. I didn't really like it at all. And honestly, part of me is just I think you mentioned it. I was just can we just go ahead and just, all right, it's okay. We can say Adam Cole is better than Kyle O'Reilly, and Kyle O'Reilly still means something as a wrestler. He's just not as good as Adam Cole. We can leave it. I think it'll be better off if they just let Kyle O'Reilly do something separate from Adam Cole and establish himself in another way. Because he's obviously not on Adam Cole's level, and this promo didn't really help.
No, I completely agree with you. It just didn't make a lot of sense for me. But we move on, and LA Knight tells Cameron Grimes to mow his lawn. Grimes said, "Do you think this is a big lawn? No problem. Wait until I get on that bush hog." Knight tells him, "No, you're not going to do it. You're going to do it with this little push mower." Grimes said, "It should be a problem. My grandma used to chase me all through the arbor, this thing." Knight said, "Just get it done before I come back." Grimes says, "No problem, sir." Meanwhile, Indy Hartwell tries to carry Loomis to the back, as we said. Chip to the rank fell on top, trying to kiss him. And then the NXT Breakout Tournament, Duke Hudson versus Ikemen Jiro. And of course, we said Hudson from Adelaide, Jiro hails from Tokyo, Japan. Hudson was overconfident early, and Jiro took advantage. He sent Hudson reeling out the ring, following a head scissors account to erase his edge. However, Hudson's power was too much for his rival, who fell to the boss man slam.
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts on this?
I like the match. It's about what I did expect. You know, I did not really expect Ikemen to survive this match. I thought a guy like Duke Hudson, there's no way that WWE or NXT would not give him a chance to advance. He just, the look, everything else, he has it. As much as I like how different Ikemen Jiro is, I just don't. Everything just pointed to Duke winning this match. And I love Barrett calling this match because I agree with him. Hudson definitely reminds me of Barrett in a lot of ways, and it's funny him using that move with Barrett right there. And I think Vic. Yeah, I think Vic even said the winds of change. He transitioned while using the winds of change. I really like that, so as a Barrett fan, so that was cool. So, yeah, I like Duke Hudson, and I thought this match was pretty good, for a first-round match. It was quick. It wasn't, too lengthy. So I liked it. It wasn't even really I guess you could say it was a squash, but it was just, like I said, one of those expected things, but I liked it.
Yeah, without doubt. And I should say, actually, as well, Vic Joseph and Wade Barrett. I mean, second only behind us when it comes to NXT stuff, because they were doing the Tina Turner lyrics of What Love's Got to Do with It as well, which actually did make me laugh during the show. I like Duke, even though he does sound, Duke Hudson sounds like Clint Eastwood played him in the Western back in the day.
Yeah.
But hey, I like Jiro's gimmick and has potential as well. And then Pete Dunne said, "I don't care who wins tonight," but he's always so happy, Pete Dunne. He said, "I don't care who wins tonight. Find Gargano and ask him who the man is around here. Find Cross and ask him about the triangle choke. He has no answers. I'm the baddest man here." Tim Thatcher interrupts him. "Well, which is it?" Dunne says, "Who's asking?" So Jumper runs out too. They brawl with Pete Dunne and O'Lorkin to take us to the commercial break. And then we're back. Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter versus Jesse Kamir and Aaliyah, or Nymph. And Kamir showed off her size and power early, but Aaliyah could not keep the momentum going. Caden Carter and Casey took over the action and hit the signature tag team finisher for the win. Thoughts on this? Aaliyah never wins. But then we see Robert Stone put Aaliyah back to her feet and she slaps him. "What's wrong with you, Aaliyah?" And she says, "I helped you more than you've helped me. I've done more for you than anyone." She gives another slap that sends him flying across the ring and lays him with fists and knees. Stone tries to crawl away. She hits a running kick to the gut, kick to the head, and jumps on down to celebrate. She blows the and the crowd a kiss and leaves on her own. I think that's the end of this team. And here comes Frankie Monet to rub salt in the wound. She gets right out to Jesse Kamira, and Kamira leaves with face off and just says, "Just go."
Just go.
Good old Nymph, eh? Fair play to her. She finally got a moment in NXT.
Oh, man, I must say, as much hell that I feel like I give her with every appearance, it was kind of cool to see her have that moment and have the crowd behind her. And, you could tell that she even enjoyed. I think she even did like a really happy, like little small jump before she exited the ring. Like she was literally, you could tell she was visibly excited by that reaction. Like she couldn't even believe it in a way. Like it was cool, a very, very cool moment for her. And I have to give her props. It was executed well, even though that they lost again. I must say I was I was kind of confused by the end though, like with Frankie. Yeah, I understood she was taking Jesse, but with Robert Stone following them alone, I was like, oh, so she's taking both of them? Like, just like, what's going on? Like, is he told her to just go, but he followed. So I was confused, but it worked out. I thought the segment was cool. Honestly, this is one thing I will say. She said she helped out Robert Stone more than he helped her. I think neither one of them helped each other at all. There we go.
Well, about to say, it's like with the Robert Stone thing, it's like the girl who dumps you and you just follow her around watching her with a new partner. I suppose Robert Stone's going to be
Right.
like, remember the good days we had together. Anyway, Samoa Joe's backstage to talk to the way. Protect yourself at all times, and 2, obey my commands all the time. Garlo says, all you got to do is count to 3. I'll handle the rest. They offer him a free t-shirt and a chance to hang out. He gets Joe's disgusted and leaves. But then Pete Dunne stops Joe and of course stares a hole in him. And then we go to commercial.
He shrugged. Don't forget that shrug.
He shrugged. I mean, mate, that match, I cannot wait. Anyway, and all they've done is stare at each other. That's what I love about it, of going, they've for 4 weeks of build. What have they done? Well, they've stared for now. But you know, you know it's coming. Well, Grimes is lounging by the pool with a drink, and I said I'd be butler, but I'm also a millionaire, and I know how to delegate. Good job, kid. He had a kid mowing the lawn for him. Knight says, when I demand you to do it, you do it, not some kid. The kid comes over and says the job's all done. Grimes tries to pay him $500. Knight won't let him and knocks the money out of Grimes' hand. The kid kicks Knight in the leg while Grimes tries to clean up the spilled money with the kid's rake. He bumps the injured Knight into the pool. Knight sputters, you did that on purpose. Grimes says, can I get you a towel, sir? all LA Knight needs to do was, when he fell into pool, was to go, oh boy!
Oh my goodness, that's a great. Yeah, it was perfect. I love this segment. It was really, really good. You know, I love that dynamic. I think they're even noticing how good or how much chemistry Knight and Grimes seem to have with each other. They play off each other really well so far, and I can't wait to see what else happens. Like, it's just almost a weekly. Like, it's just like you just said. Like, you're just looking for what happened. What's happening next? What hijinks is the Butler version of Grimes gonna get up to next week? I can't wait to see what happens next. And I think they do a really good job of playing off each other, and it showed in those vignettes on NXT this past week.
Without that, we see Carl headed to the ring where he was done with O'Reilly. He talked to Samoa Joe by saying no one, including the Samoan submissions, was banned enough to face him. Bronson Reed arrived and body checked Cole out of the ring and said that this is his golden opportunity to face him. And Joe glared down Cole on his way to the ring to prepare for the main event. So Bronson Reed looked like he was going to be called up, but he's got a match with Adam Cole. Does that make a lot of sense for now?
Yeah, it does not make too much sense to me. And it also, I get it, but I didn't really like him kind of shrugging off losing the belt and saying, but you're Adam Cole, you're my golden opportunity. Well, how much did that North American title actually mean then if fighting Adam Cole can be more? And maybe he meant golden opportunity to get back on the right track. But you know what I mean? It still kind of sends like, okay, all right. Then again, I don't like him not chasing Swerve after it either. So it just shows that, you know, they don't really know what to do with him because of the call up possibility. And, you know, but I think him and Adam Cole will have and nothing I know with those two, they will have a really good match. So, I mean, that's the good thing that we can get out of it. But yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense at all.
No, well, Frankie Monet is now leading Robert Stone and Jessica Mira around like they're puppies. She says she doesn't worry about Elia anymore. Mandy Rose walks up, looks like Robert Stone brand is under new management. And now the main event time, the NXT title, and it's Karrion Kross the champ versus Johnny Gargano, called special guest referee Samoa Joe. And of course, Gargano, he'd always follow the rules. Johnny Wrestling attacked the NXT champion for the bell. Sonic submission specialist ran it as the two would not stop. They battled to the outside where Kross slammed Gargano hard against the announce table. The crowd was behind Johnny Wrestling as he attempted to rally, but Scarlett seemed to give the champion more resilience. Gargano sent Kross hard into the barricade to set one final beat, but the title holder planted him with a series of suplexes. Rolling through the pain, Gargano looked to the Gargano escape, but Kross powered him up into a cross jacket. The challenger barely made the ropes and Joe had to pull Kross away. The champion attempted to smash Gargano with steel stairs as Joe again got in the way. As Kross and Joe argued, Gargano hit a suicide dive into a DDT, followed by one final beat for a near fall. Kross answered back with a rolling elbow to the back of the head, a trio of power bombs, and a Doomsday Saito. A second rolling elbow ended it. And as Joe, first off, what were your thoughts on that matchup before we get to the kind of golden bit? Because Kross looked like an absolute killer in that.
Oh my goodness, I think Gargano is an absolute genius. And the only reason why I continue to say that is because the way if you look at how his matches are put together, it makes just take into consideration the story going into the match, and then you watch the match. Gargano just weaves perfection. And I'm not trying to say that Cross didn't have much to do with it, but making Cross look the way he made him look in this match was perfect, and it went right in line with the story that they were telling. And Johnny Gargano is the perfect size for Cross to just look incredibly strong, or to look just like someone who's just exactly what his name used to be, an absolute killer. And I think this match was really, really good. I love what both guys did, but it just, again, who's the common thread in matches where you're just like, man, I love what they did, athletic-wise and story-wise. And Gargano seems to be pretty much in almost a lot of those matches. So as much as I love what Cross did in this match too, I think Gargano's selling and the spot selection that they use and how they played off each other perfectly. And Gargano still had moments where I thought he could actually shock us. Even though at the end of the day, I think you can already kind of feel that Cross's reign wouldn't end here. But again, it was cool. I really loved the match. And man, Gargano, I can't say enough about him.
No, but like I said, my love for Johnny knows no bounds. So, it's just unbelievable. And Cross is, I've been watching NXT since it very first started, and Cross is the most dominant NXT champion. Obviously, yeah. Oscar, you could argue with that, but for male champion, no one has come close to Cross. You even see it the way, it was easy for him in a way against Gargano in the end, and that's what we've seen. But then, as Joe lifted the arm of Karrion Kross and handed him the NXT Championship belt in celebration, they had a little bit of argument. Scarlett got between them, and as Joe walked off, Karrion Kross attacked him from behind, locked in the cross jacket, making the NXT enforcer pass out in a visual that, you talk about a picture can tell 1,000 words. And like you say, when we started this podcast, when we started NXT Update 5 episodes ago, and Samoa Joe debuted, came back as the enforcer, and now 5 weeks later we're getting this moment. The RO as the kind of general manager and enforcer anymore. I mean, he's not going to be that when he looks for retribution.
No way.
This sets up so much, doesn't it?
Oh yes, he finally. It's enough. Like you said, everything that we've been talking about throughout this episode right here, of like the stare downs and the stuff with Adam Cole, because Adam Cole still had things to say about Joe in his promo before Reed interrupted. And then you have the elements, of course, with Cross here. There's no way that he can just be an enforcer now. He has to get reinstated as a performer, and it just sets up dream matches. And I can't wait to see what happens with Samoa Joe's involvement. And like you said, the picture, the imagery of Cross choking out the guy who's known for choking out guys, choking out, Samoa Joe with the cross jacket looking so similar to the clutch is just a perfect element also. That because how many people can say they put Samoa Joe to sleep? It's great. It's a great. I just love how much. It's just a great starting point for a lot of possible special encounters coming, down the line. And also, I have to say this too. Karrion Kross, it's again little things. While he choking out Samoa Joe, the little things he was saying, like, "Come on, Joe, yeah." I love it. I love the trash talk, because again, how many people have ever had Samoa Joe in that position throughout his career? Not many, and it's just, oh man, it was beautiful, beautiful stuff. And like you said, it sets up so much, and that's the best part about it. That we have endless possibilities for what Samoa Joe could be doing, and what who his involvement will be with.
Without a doubt, I think it's incredible. Now, before we wrap up with a couple of questions we always ask, we should say a bit of news. Nymph has been traded for Mandy Rose. I don't know who won in that trade. But question I always ask you, I don't know, what are your thoughts on NXT this month? We've just watched 5 episodes. Of course, the Great American Bash involved. What have you thought of it? Is it as good as it ever has been? Because I think this month it's shown,
Oh, yeah, I think especially in a lot of the storytelling with the Grimes and Night stuff with what, like you said, what with Cross and with bringing Samoa Joe back. I think they're really hitting their stride, especially in a storytelling element. Maybe it may not be the same level of in-ring work consistently that we're used to, and maybe it's not, everything don't make the same amount of sense as it has. Like I said, if you want to say it's falling off a little bit than what was going on maybe toward the end of last year or like earlier this year, maybe I can understand it. But I think there's a lot of good around those, faults that we can find. And I really been enjoying NXT. It's been interesting to keep up with this, as I've heard people call wrestling those male soap opera. I have to catch my story every week, and I think NXT gives me a good fix. And always another thing, they always has me like, okay, I can't wait to see what happens next week. They're really good at that, in their main events, making you be like, wow, okay, what's going to happen next week?
The thing is as well about NXT Update, and one of the reasons we've done it for this amount of time that we have is yes, week in, week out is sometimes good, because you want to review it or look at it straight away. But it's when you can isolate and put it into like a 4 or 5 month, capsule, so to speak, and look at what happened there. And it's weird, like you said, from the last in your house to up until now, because we know the next month of NXT is going to be completely different because of what happened finishing on this show. So right. it sets it up as well, because you're thinking like, well, what are our hopes for next month, And like I said, we're 4 episodes to go from where we were last time round. Like I said, anything could literally happen now,
Exactly, and I think anytime so far, just like I said, what do we love the most? Like sometimes I look back at Attitude Era times, and I like, it's some stuff that maybe it's definitely some great stuff, but it's also some stuff that hasn't aged too well. But the number one thing, in my opinion, that people love and what they crave in their wrestling is that element of anything being possible. And I think NXT does a really good job of always making you be like, okay. Like, yeah, this is a possibility. Ooh, I can't wait to see what happens here. Oh, man, can we possibly get this match? And then the dream match capabilities, they have a great job of doing that, too, of just, scratching that itch of possible combinations that you can get with their roster. So, yeah, I think NXT is really doing good. And also with what they have to work with, like we talked about, the main roster, taking talent, and you never really know who's going to be there, who's not. Who's going to come down from the main roster and enter. That element also helps out NXT, in my opinion, as a production, because, like I said, it's that element of like, okay, I'm watching NXT. What's going to surprise me this week, or what's going to happen? Like even the squash matches, you have to pay attention to. Like, I don't know this person, but hold up, they could shock Tony Storm like we had a few months ago or whatever. Now. So like, I just love that element the most about NXT, and that's what keeps me coming back. And they make these updates very, very fun.
Without a doubt. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been brilliant again to have you on for this month. My only hope for next month, and I don't have many, but my only hope for next month's NXT update when we watch it is that visual of Cross choking out Samoa Joe reversed. That's what I want to see. The lights going out in Cross and Joe going, "You're my bitch now." Like that. That give me all the money in the world. And hopefully there should be a takeover announcement as well by the time we do our next NXT update, which is always good as well, isn't it?
Of course, always looking forward to takeovers. One of the best track records that you could possibly have is NXT takeovers, and finally getting another Samoa Joe takeover. Maybe his first match back in the company could be at the next takeover. Man, I'm already salivating at the mouth, kind of thinking about it.
Well, without a doubt, and if on the WNR podcast, if you're listening and wondering what's going to happen, of course, me and Monty will take you along that journey as well. And of course, we will do this every month. But that is it for now. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Monty, why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
All right, you can find me on Twitter at Mind Monty Pod. So Monty, Mind Monty Pod. That's my Twitter handle. So follow me. I'm going to get back in the game. I recently completed a move, so I'm going to get back in the game of live tweeting during these shows. I'm always having fun. Every time I did recently live tweet during the fans returning for SmackDown. So I'm going to try to do my best to be on point. Maybe even starting with Money in the Bank soon. So who knows? But either way it goes, that's where you'll find me, and I appreciate all the support, and I thank you again, as I always do, James, for allowing me to express my NXT opinions on your platform. I appreciate this. This is always fun. And, I love the WNR podcast.
Well, mate, I'll say it's always a pleasure and never a chore, is it? Apart from the outro, because the WNR are also on Facebook and Instagram, of course, all Google platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com. WNRPodcast.com and YouTube WNR Podcast. We have all latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube as you do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes. We can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is that. But like I said, it's always fun, especially with anything else going on in the world. It makes us just have a laugh and forget about everything for a couple hours, you know, and that's what I always like about the NXT updates. And of course, hopefully next time you'll be on the WNR will be August 14th, which is our next update scheduled as well.
That sounds good to me. I can't wait to see what has happened since then. You know, that's the one thing I do love. Also, like you said, like looking at the arc of a good 5-week window of television. I can't wait to see where we go from here now by August. It's going to be fun.
Shadow of a doubt. The next time the WNR podcast show is going to be Money in the Bank with Jaxie. But until then, I have been James Rowlands and I was joined by the fantastic Monty again. Thank you very much for joining me here on this show.
No problem.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Adios.